Today we're kicking off a 3-episode series on the Nancy Drew game soundtracks. Once upon a time, a composer named Kevin Manthei got a taste for video game music, marketed himself to a small company known as Her Interactive, and the rest, as they say, is history. Kevin's Nancy Drew music catalog is so prolific we need 2 whole episodes to do it justice. In part 1, we'll be walking through the soundtracks for Secrets Can Kill through Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon. Expect plenty of onions, and a few fun facts you might not have heard before.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to your favorite podcast. Stay tuned for deep dives. My name is Carter, and I'm with my incredible, musically talented co-host, Tori. And I emphasized musically talented there, Tori, because what are we talking about today that is just absolutely in your wheelhouse, ballpark, field? It is.
We are talking about the Nancy Drew soundtracks.
Oh.
Not just this week, but for the next 2 weeks after this. So 3 weeks. 3 weeks of music.
3 whole episodes
coming your way. Yes.
So if you like the Nancy Drew soundtracks, and I have a sneaking suspicion you do, that's actually a quote from one of the Nancy Drew games. I don't remember which one, but you're going to love these episodes because I guarantee you that you probably listen to the Nancy Drew soundtracks in the background while you do stuff. And you love them.
All the time. So many great ambiances by you and many other talented members of the Clue crew.
Well, thank you.
Weaving that music together. Also, I feel the need to interject, honestly, Nancy Drew music, I feel like that's why this podcast exists. If you think about it.
Yeah, you're actually right. You're right. I forgot.
It exists because of the soundtracks. Let's be real.
I so forgot.
Okay, so indulge me in a quick little bit of story time. And we kind of talked about this at the very end of last week. Came up very briefly. But this was, I think, summer of last year. I, for a whole month, had a survey available. And I wanted people to please tell me, like, what is your favorite track from each of the Nancy Drew games? And also, like, please tell me.
I'm already sweating hearing you talk about it again.
Please tell me anything else you would like to about the Nancy Drew soundtracks. And I got some really great feedback. But then also, my lovely co-host, an attempt was made. And I promise I'm not about to throw you under the bus. Not really,
it's okay.
But he said, he's like, Tori, I'm really trying. But this is taking me forever because I have so many thoughts. And he legit was like, I have seen some of the things, like Carter was trying to write basically entire essays about each game's soundtrack and was having a really hard time just corralling all of his stuff. And I was patient. I extended the deadline for him, and we just finally reached a point like, you know what? This is not meant to happen. It is not your time to share your thoughts. They were just too many. I was like, so I said, let me move forward with the survey, but let's make a deal. I was like, come on my YouTube channel sometime and let's talk about the music. And it's basically, we kind of almost like do the survey as a video. And Carter said, yes, of course, I'd love to do that. And then I remember I followed up with you, I don't know, several weeks later and mentioned it again. You're like, hey, I have a proposal. And what I thought was, I'll be honest, what I thought you were about to do was I thought you were about to bail on me. You're like, I'm sorry, Tori. Like, I just can't. I just don't think I can have this conversation. It's too much. But instead, you threw my world upside down. You're like, what if we did a podcast? Because we have so many Nancy Drew thoughts. And the funny thing is, it had crossed my mind at one point. It's like Carter and I, honestly, we'd make a really great podcast because we're always yapping to each other about Nancy Drew things.
We are.
And we had actually ideas for other things that were like, man, we should do a video about this together sometime.
Yes.
And then
we were like, why is
now
no one
you
talking
all-
about this?
Yeah. And then you all, as a result, you can stay tuned for Deep Dive.
Yes.
So we can thank the music.
That's
this podcast origin story.
And I truly must apologize when I tell you guys, like, it was the hardest assignment I feel to sit down and really, and I was taking it so seriously. Like I was taking this like it was my final exam. Okay. And I really did. I listened. You had linked all of Hugh's uploads. He had uploaded all of the official soundtracks of all the games. I listened to those videos so intently. I would like listen to the first 60-second track and I'd be like, okay. And I like write all my thoughts down, and I would just like every little thought, and I'd think about where did I hear this in the game and how did I feel when I heard it and and it like you said, it ended up being an essay about every single game soundtrack. So I'm excited that we kind of get to like take the opportunity and talk to each other about what we feel and kind of just the music in general. But you know, I think it's gonna be a really good time.
Well, and I think we should mention,
yes,
sorry if this disappoints anyone, we're not actually going to be doing a track by track analysis,
because that would be
because we just decided
seasons.
like that would be a season
in
multiple
itself.
seasons
Yeah,
in and of themselves. So we did just have to decide kind of this has to still be manageable. So we thought breaking it up into 3 parts, 2 episodes for Kevin Manthei, because he is the greatest of all time. He is the GOAT. So he gets 2 episodes. And then we'll put Thomas and Ryan together in the 3rd episode.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I'm still excited. And of course, we will certainly draw your attention to any tracks that we really need to say something about.
That we specifically love.
Yeah, but it's not going to be one track at a time. I think it is going to be more kind of the soundtrack as a whole, and then any favorites that we point out. So I'm so excited.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited about this specific episode. I think the most because there's something about the first 13 games.
They're so good.
Music.
Yes.
I think between the nostalgia and the quality. They
were cooked with some different seasoning for sure. They were. Yeah, but I think before we actually get into each, and maybe like what we're kind of going game by game, we wanted to take the opportunity to kind of tell you a little bit more of the background info of Mr. Kevin himself. And there is this great podcast that you guys can listen to. And I'll hopefully during the live premiere of this episode, we'll link the video podcast in the comments so you guys can go check it out if you want to, or we'll put it in the description. But Hugh with Nancy Drew Walkthroughs interviewed Kevin Manthei in this podcast interview, and a great wealth of information came out of this podcast. I remember listening to it and just multiple times was like, what? I didn't know that, like that's so cool. And we're going to talk about some of those things today, but also kind of give you like the origin story of how Kevin, the GOAT of Nancy Drew Music, was born into her interactive world. Kevin got a taste of the video game world, fell in love with it, and decided, I'm going to put myself out there and advertise what I can do, which I loved that so much. The fact that he was putting a sample of like what he could do kind of out there, and so he was like promoting his work to Her Interactive, and Her Interactive liked it.
And then of course, as we know, that ended up being, he was here working with them from game 1 through 25.
Yes.
So that's still to this
several years
to this point is, I mean, that's 2/3 basically.
Yeah.
Of the soundtrack are all credit to him. And then also there's a lot of just interesting info maybe some of you all don't know, like just in terms of like how did the process work, in terms of like how do Her Interactive and Kevin Manthei come up with a soundtrack for the Nancy Drew games. And first of all, things to know is he had said that usually he was working directly with either Megan Geyser or Robert Riedel.
Makes so much
Which
sense.
that says so much to me. They were I call them two of the biggest wigs of Her Interactive. And of course, and we even talked about them last season. You know, these are people. They were there from Secrets Can Kill, staples of the golden era. You know, like Her Interactive in its heyday. Both of them are key players. So I think it's very telling that he was always working with one of them. And the process was that usually Her Interactive would send Kevin a 2 to 3 page document outlining the different tracks and what they're looking for. And sometimes they would mention, like, they'd give him examples or ideas. They might reference certain sounds or songs or artists. And Kevin says sometimes they were very particular. Like, they'd say, you know, make it sound like XYZ. Other times they might just give him something like an adjective. We need eerie. We need tense. We need anxious. And just be very general. And so, of course, they're giving him a creative brief, so he knows how to satisfy his client. But he says at all times that they were very respectful, like, towards his creativity and letting him put his own special stamp on things. And he said that these documents they gave him, like, they were always really well put. So this truly was like a team effort.
True.
He's got to know what they want him to work with. And so the other thing is he'd mentioned, so they'd give him this document, and then usually there'd be a conversation, some sort of meeting between her and Kevin, and they'd both share, like, here's what we're thinking. And he'd share whatever ideas he had, and they'd basically kind of reach like a general consent how to move forward. And then he'd start working on the tracks. And another thing that he mentioned was he did not like the process to drag on and on. He actually very purposefully tried to make decisions very quickly. Like, he says, if he heard a sound that he really liked, I'm gonna go with it. I'm going to use this somehow. And he didn't do this whole, like, oh, let me find, like, 10 that I really like and then decide which one to use. Like, he described it as just a series of quick decisions over and over and over again. Like, sounds like he just trusted his gut.
Which is, again, like, you have to be a real creative genius to be able to trust that voice, that gut.
Yes. And I think to testify to that is, he also said usually if they sent him something on, say, a Monday, he could have the whole soundtrack done in 2 to 3 weeks. And if it was like just him who had to do everything, he could get it done in a week. I think the 2 to 3 weeks was more of like if he had to get other people. You need to get live musicians to come in. And so this is very quick. Like, that blows my mind. You're talking like basically a month, usually less. And there's one game we're going to talk about in particular where we won't give it away yet. Like,
love that fun fact.
Was truly remarkable how quick the turnaround of that was. So that's kind of just an overview of his process for these games. Remarkable. Already the genius is
truly remarkable. I mean, his creative intuition is just so good. So, how I think what stands out to me about that whole process, though, is what you were talking about, the team, like working together as a team, the partnership that occurred. I think that's like so important because you have to have good partnership so that both sides, one, that you give the freedom to have that creative ability to like do what you want, but also to have great direction. That's like so important for both sides to work together like that. So
yes,
love that.
I love it. So I think now we are ready. And what we are planning to do is we're just going to go soundtrack by soundtrack. We're going to start with Secrets Can Kill. We're going to end with Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon. And we're just, again, this is the season of onions. We're just here to share our onions. So I'm going to go throw it right at you, Carter. Secrets Can Kill. The very first soundtrack.
Yeah.
What do you think? What stands out?
You know, when I first heard Secrets Can Kill soundtrack was like when it was the remastered one, because I didn't play the original. And I remember thinking that there was a lot of different sounds because of the all like the arcade sounds and the restaurant
Oh
sounds
yeah,
and all
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff. But for the most part, it actually was pretty much like just a few tracks. I just don't like there was only like a few tracks that I remember, like the school one that plays a lot and Eloise's that plays a lot. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it. I didn't really remember a whole lot more than that, but I didn't particularly like have this stand out like, oh, I just love this music so much. That's not the feelings that I got when I played the game, but I do love the game accompanied with that music. I think I like that, but I'm not like it's not a Danger on Deception Island soundtrack for me. If that is what I'm supposed to be answering,
No,
it's
I get what you mean. Because
yeah,
like it
yeah.
works for its game, but yeah, it's not one necessarily that I feel like feels as memorable, like
Mm-mm.
independent of its.
No, not at all. Yeah, not at all.
No,
It's
I
not
I
it's
get
not
what
one
you're
that I'm
saying.
just like, "Oh, well, let me just put on the Secrets Can Kill soundtrack." But to be fair though, there's not a lot to that soundtrack. So,
Right. And I actually that was one thing when I re-listened to it, and I've always kind of thought this, but I actually took note of like because what has always stood out to me with this one is like I feel like in general like the tracks are just very short.
oh
So I
yeah.
actually was
Yeah, they
looking at
are.
the times, and I think basically if you average it out, it was usually I saw a lot of that were either like 30 seconds, maybe 40, 45 seconds, which is not the norm. They ended
Huh.
up getting a little bit longer to be
Longer.
more like a minute or a little bit over a minute.
Sure.
So it's like, oh, my intuition was right. Like they are short. And the other thing that has stood out, and this is more in terms of like how it's utilized in the game, is
Mhm.
it's interesting, and it's interesting to think about. I won't jump way ahead to Ryan Rick's era conversations, but it's interesting that the very first Kevin Manthei game, the music was looping,
Oh,
constant
yeah.
looping. Like if you go into the school, the entire time you're
Yes.
walking in the
Bum,
hallways,
bum, 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 bum,
yes, that mystery
bum,
light track
bum,
plays. The
bum,
entire time you're
bum.
in Aunt Eloise's house, you will
Yes.
just hear the
It's
track that plays in her house.
mhm.
Or you like go into the boiler room. I think the boiler room has a specific track. And you'll get those very like those hard shifts.
Now,
Every
Tori,
environment has its own thing.
you know what's okay? So yes, you mentioning that they loop and that they're very short. Actually, because I've had to make a lot of Nancy Drew videos or projects. When I use Nancy Drew music in the background in Adobe Premiere, I can see the actual audio track. You can like see the sound waves, and there's a lot of soundtracks in the Nancy Drew universe where there's a lot of variation to them. A lot of the Secrets Can Kill tracks are like if I took just a splice of like 1 or 2 seconds, it's actually like the same 1 or 2 seconds over and over and over again. Like the whole audio wave looks very similar because it's like just like what you said, it's just a loop.
Hmm. Yeah, and another thing in terms of, and this is more the music itself, how it works. Like, of course, so there's a lot of piano. Piano is very prominent in the soundtrack. Strings as well, which actually I think Kevin said in that interview. Those are kind of his two, like, that he most likes writing for. So I think he
Hmm.
played to his strengths. And then um, a lot of chromatics in this soundtrack, which I don't want to bog people down with like music theory and stuff, but in terms of chromatic notes, that's when you have notes that literally they're within a half step of each other. Like if you were playing a piano, like white key,
Ooh.
black key, white, black, white, and you
I
just
love
keep
to
going.
learn
So
this.
it creates this like duh, duh, and it provides a sense of like a little bit of anxiety
So that's why I
and
feel that way
mystery.
when I play this game.
Yes, that's one thing when I was listening, I was like, oh man, he really leans into the chromatics in this soundtrack. And so it keeps you on
Oh.
edge like the entire time because you have these notes that are going to feel dissonant one after the other.
Okay, I love learning this. You keep telling us stuff the whole episode. I love that. Yeah, no, but that makes so much sense because I feel like when I'm in the school hallway, I always feel an edge like somebody's following me. It's empty.
Yeah.
And yeah,
So I think a good demonstration of this would be that I forget what its name is called, but that one it's like like, and it that's all he's doing over. And there's other tracks that do it, and it's easy to see, especially if you look at it as piano music. But yes,
yeah.
now I'm glad that you mentioned the hallway track, which I think
Mm-hmm.
officially it's titled Mystery Light.
Yes.
It does have that very like eerie piano part. And one thing that I love about that is he actually does kind of like a musical link between that track and the one that plays in Aunt Eloise's house. Like he doesn't use the exact same melody, but
Oh,
like
okay.
rhythmically, they're very similar and they kind of move the same way. So like the Aunt's house track, which that track, like every Clue Crew fan, even if they haven't played Secrets Can Kill, I feel like they know that track. You know,
Ooh, it's so good.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, please, all y'all need to go listen to these stuff. Don't listen to, me, especially just humming them, not doing them justice. But then Mystery Light has something very similar. It kind of moves the same way, which I think is I was like, oh, that's so cool. Except Ant House is in a major key, and the mystery, like the hallway track, is in a minor key. Which I was like, I love that because that tells me it's like conveying this sense of like when you're at Aunt Eloise's house, which is where you start the game, like that's your safe space. There's no danger there, no threats inside her house. But then as soon as you step into the school, that's when the danger begins.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
So, yes, I would commend to you all sometime, like, just go listen to those two tracks back to back because it's a really, really great experience.
Those were actually my two favorite ones when I did your music survey that I made note of. I was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
these two. Which, I mean, again,
Yeah.
not that there's much to choose from, but those were my two favorites for sure.
And I always just lean into Ant House, I feel like, because there is something truly, it's like cozy.
Yeah,
It
it
does feel
is.
very
It
homey.
is. It's like warm.
It's like he nailed the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, one other thing that I think is worth mentioning soundtrack before we move on, the backstory to the Nancy Drew rap.
Yes.
Like a bullet from a gun, okay?
She arrives on
Which
the
is,
scene.
and it's technically an unused track, but between like Arglefumf and other people, it's one of those like people know it and they love it. And we do have Kevin Manthei to thank for making that happen, but not just him. So actually, a friend of his, they both enjoy rap. And so Kevin pitched to him this idea of like, hey, you want to do a Nancy Drew rap? And so his friend actually wrote all of the lyrics and did the rapping.
Iconic.
And sadly, Her Interactive didn't put the rap into the actual game,
Her Interactive,
which is bummer.
why?
And the other thing they left out was you don't really get to hear that girl singing either, because there's that soprano who sings all those. Yeah. Yes, and Kevin was very excited about using her because she was the wife of a fellow composer, but he said Her Interactive to it and they didn't like it. He was like, which was bummer for him, but
yeah.
So, but her vocals do show up in the rap. So that's just really fun. So that's your little fun fact.
Love it.
Because actually, that was one thing I actually didn't know. I was like, yeah, who's responsible for the rap? That's what gets us started, and I do think like it's a solid introduction. And, the best is yet to come. So let's go ahead and move on then to Stay Tuned for Danger.
Oh.
Which is where I feel like some more of the standard things are starting to get established.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So instead of it being shorter, now we have tracks that are more like closer to about a minute. Like they're like 60-second tracks.
Yeah.
I think in the interview, the way that he described it was, well, when he sent in the tracks, it was like 10 tracks, each about a minute. So it was like 10 minutes of music. And that was a
Yeah.
formula
That's
that
always.
her
Mhm.
interactive was like, oh yeah, we want this. This is really good. We want to keep doing that. Which I think he wanted to bend those rules a bit sometimes, but they were like, no, 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 stick to the formula.
Yeah. Yes, which
Yeah.
I found interesting, and I think that's why we probably ended up with some like extended versions of things.
Which, if you've never, I actually
No,
feel like a lot of
on
people
the music
don't
for Mystery.
know about the
Yeah, no,
extended versions of stuff
I agree.
because
A lot of people only know what's in game.
yeah, exactly. I sprinkled some in on an ambience video and I got multiple comments of, what is this at this timestamp? I've never heard this before, and I had to explain, oh, that's actually Kevin's version of this same soundtrack that you're probably familiar with. But yeah, no, some of the extended versions of stuff is just like so good.
Yes, and if anyone wants access to those, you need to purchase the Music for Mysteries soundtracks
Yes.
from Her Interactive, like
Yep.
on their website.
Yes. Or
And
I think Hugh maybe also has some
yeah,
available on YouTube.
yes, I
Yeah.
think some have also they're uploaded somewhere
Yes.
on YouTube. So you go out and find them because they're very interesting. Because yeah, that's to me, it's like what Kevin Manthei would have done had he been allowed to write longer. So that's very telling. And before we jump more into like Stay Tuned for Danger itself, I think it's also we cannot neglect
We
this.
have to say it.
We have to mention this. This is when the Nancy Drew theme song
Da da
created.
da da. I'm telling you, like literally, it's universal in the fandom for people to know that theme song.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. Well, it played at the beginning
I made
of every game for so long.
I made a reel, and this was one of my first reels that I used like a green screen element on. And it's, if you're familiar with The Office, it's Michael Scott, and he has a speaker, and the book menu, I have a green screen on the back of Michael Scott with the speaker. And I can't remember what the caption was. It was something like, "This is how I feel when this comes on," and it's just him holding the speaker, and it's da 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 da. And I can't tell you how many people were like, "Yes, I love this theme song." It's just, as soon as you hear it, you just instantly transported.
It really does set the stage. I mean,
Yes.
I remember cranking up Secret of Shadow Ranch for the first time. My first Nancy Drew game.
Mm-hmm.
I was captivated.
Same.
Like it is true. It's mystery music through and through.
Through and through. Absolutely right. Absolutely.
And again, I will just, since I mentioned it, Secrets Can Kill. Again, he's using a lot of chromatic notes, so he's creating this sense of like tension, mystery, a little bit of danger, like what's going on.
Hey,
here?
I want you to know, out of a lot of the tracks in the games, there's always usually one track that's called Mystery, and that I always love those. I don't know, maybe he has a special talent for leaning into these chromatics that you talk about, because it's just so good. So good.
I think actually he does have a certain sound that comes through. Like if you listen to all of his stuff, like you can just tell this is the Kevin Manthei voice. So yeah, I definitely think he is very good at channeling. And one other thing, before we kind of start sharing any specific thoughts we have about Stay Tuned for Danger's music specifically, you do get more of a shift in gameplay in terms of how music. You already mentioned like the tracks in this game are longer, but I did also notice this is when you get into the whole, and this became more of the gold standard for a long time. You'll hear more than one track in some of the environments.
Yes.
I think there still is a lot of repeating in Stay Tuned for Danger. I think it wasn't more until like Treasure in the Royal Tower maybe that really became like, yeah, you're gonna hear more thing, and you're also gonna get moments of you're not gonna hear any music at all. It's totally silent. But already they were starting to move away from short looping tracks.
Yeah.
which I think is very interesting. And Kevin actually he shared in that interview, he has thoughts about looping because that was something that he was very concerned about as a composer. And he was very conscious of the fact when he was writing for these games, he's like, how do I keep it so the listener doesn't hate the music? Like they're going to hear 1 minute of music for an unknown amount of time. How do I keep them from absolutely hating it? And you know me, I have definitely spit fire sometimes about things in games playing over and over and over.
And can I just
And so
I was
go
just
ahead.
say thank you. Thank you for being considerate of us to that degree that you would be that mindful about what you create. You know what I mean? Like that's yeah.
Oh yes, yes. So his approach was how he tried to solve this problem, knowing I got a minute to work and I got to keep it interesting, is that he would try to put as much new material into his tracks as possible. Meaning, you might get from the beginning all the way to the end and you never hear anything repeat. Like it's just new melody or the entire way. Or if he did repeat something, he'd try to make the repeat different so that you were hearing it in a different way. And I'm definitely going to point that out with some of these. So I just appreciate that so much. And it's like it's why I feel like another reason why his era of games works really well, because he was purposefully trying to make sure that we as the players did not get tired of what we were.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I just really appreciate that. I really, really do. Like you love what you do so much that you think about the wholeness of it instead of just being like, I'll just crank something out and just send it and just like
Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yes. All
But
right. I'm curious, Carter. That was what I was going to ask now. Do you have any standout
well,
tracks or any big thoughts about Stay Tuned for Danger
I
music?
I was going to say, I know that you and I must have some sort of adoration for the lobby music and Stay Tuned for Danger.
I suppose so.
Because that was actually our theme song, our intro music to season 1 of this podcast. We used it because it felt familiar and it was cozy and it was like opening up, like you were opening up to this, like what we were about to present. So I don't know, like it was just
And
perfect. It was
yeah.
perfect.
And he's purposefully got that like muffled, grainy quality on
Yes,
it. Like
yes,
you're
yes.
hearing it through elevator
Oh,
speakers or what, or something like that.
it's like sprinkles on top of sprinkles. It's just so perfect. Yes.
Yes.
It's cozy.
And it truly is like, it's better. Honestly, you know what? I would listen to that music in an elevator and be quite happy.
Absolutely.
Like, please, yes, let Kevin Manthei write all your elevator and all your telephone hold music, because
Yes.
it is a vibe in and of itself.
A
I
whole
just love
vibe.
it.
A whole vibe. No, I was gonna say I know I liked Lobby. I can't remember if it was Maddie's Apartment Day or Night. One of those two tracks I really liked as well.
I think usually people get really excited about Day.
I think that was the one I was gonna
The one with like
say.
the vibraphones.
Yeah.
I'm not up on my percussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just fun.
Like yeah. Well, it starts very like cozy, and then like in the second half, it turns a little bit dark.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
what's going on
Right.
here?
What's the music telling us? Yeah. No. What about you though?
Well, definitely Lobby. The other one actually that I'm a huge fan of it's called Exit Day, and it's this one that's got that like muffled like
I know
the
what you're
trumpet.
talking about. Yes, the trumpet.
Like it like it like activates something within me. I'm just like, yes.
Show
Like,
of hands in the live premiere that just wants Tori to sing every track.
yes. I mean that's what I have to do. I just have to hum them all, right?
That's hilarious.
Like it's so smooth.
It is so smooth.
It's like butter to me.
Yeah.
Like, and has like a film noir element. I can picture a guy in like a trench coat and a fedora like walking around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that trumpet. it does things to me.
And you know what? Kevin
So
does a really good job of that specifically to me, is that whatever the theme or like the overall main theme is, he always taps into that theme so well with his music. So like it does feel like New York noir
yes,
filmy kind of music, right? And then
yes,
each consecutive game after, just the theme he taps into, it's just so good.
you actually just made me remember that when someone who filled out my survey, they actually wrote about this soundtrack. They said to me, this one sounds like I was made for this game and this game only. Like they just felt like
Yeah.
he really captured, like, yes, this is what a New York City soap opera,
Yes.
detective mystery should sound like. So
Yes.
I agree with you. And I think in general the Clue Crew shares your sentiments about his ability to like capture a place and a
Yes.
story.
So well.
Mhm. So I would say already, like musically, it does strike me as it's an improvement on Secrets Can Kill. But again, it's just going to keep getting better and better and better. And I'm so excited, like where we're going to be by the time the end of this episode. So now we're to a super fun one. And I just think we have to start with, you need to tell the most fun of facts
It
about
really is.
Message in a Haunted Mansion. Because I'm sure some of you already know this, but those of you who don't, like your mind, I promise, is about to be blown to smithereens with shock.
It truly is such a fun fact. Are you ready? Kevin Manthei put together the entirety of the Message in a Haunted Mansion soundtrack. Not in 2 weeks. Not in 1 week. Not in a few days. In 1 day. What?
And you know what's crazy to me about this is that the way he expressed it on the interview was, he said, you know what? I just decided I'm going to write a soundtrack in 1 day. So he did.
Okay.
He's like, I want to do a Nancy Drew soundtrack in 1 day. And the man set out
Kevin.
and
Kevin,
accomplished.
my man. What you doing? How did you do that, Kevin?
Yeah. And what's even funnier is he didn't tell Her Interactive, because he said, I was afraid if they found out that's how quickly I did it, they'd want to pay me less. Because
Yeah.
he didn't put as much work into it.
Which is like totally understandable, you
So he
know.
sat on that information for years until
That's
Hugh
that is hilarious. No, seriously, that's
got it
hilarious.
out in the interview. I just
That
love it.
But again,
Oh my
just to show you why he's the GOAT is because you probably know, because Message in Haunted Mansion was a huge entry point for many players, that music stuck
really
with
is a
you.
strong selling point.
It is a strong selling point. And the fact that Kevin literally sat down, I just imagine him sitting down and truly from 8 to 5 just going to town, and he just made my mind is just blown. My mind is
And he
blown.
also mentioned that he got very few notes back from them, because they would send notes back like, you need to tweak the
Fix
XYZ.
this. Yeah,
He
yeah.
said there was like 2 things that they wanted him to change of the
That's
whole bit.
crazy.
So the thing was basically perfect
Mm.
after that 1 day of working.
Well,
Amazing.
tell me your thoughts on Message in a Haunted Mansion soundtracks.
Okay, well, of course, obviously, another one that's very piano forward. And I feel like when I think of this, 2 things I think of with this soundtrack. I think of piano and I think of spooky.
Mm.
Because this was also the first game that involved hauntings of some sort. So he did have to tap into a new kind of sound.
Absolutely.
So now it's not just like things, sounding dangerous or mysterious. Now they need to sound like, this mansion might be haunted. And I do love how much he uses piano in this one. And my particular favorite is Entry, which I know Her Interactive also uses it in their marketing stuff a ton, just because of those high, like da da da, like just those high twinkling piano notes. And I love how it like starts very like very mellow, kind of
Mhm.
and sinister. It just keeps building, and a little bit more instruments keep coming, and then suddenly like the piano goes up into the high notes, and like the cello's doing something. Like it really does feel like you're being ushered into, I don't know, the spirit realm. I don't know,
Something
into a
ghostly?
mystery. Like yes.
Yeah.
So I really 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 love that one especially. Um however, however, I
Oh,
will say this soundtrack as a whole. It's not that I dislike it. I want to say this carefully so people don't hear me saying something I'm not actually saying. It's not that I dislike it. It's more that its overall personality is like too one-dimensional to me. Like cuz pretty much every track in here is like spooky or creepy
I see that.
in
Yeah.
some way. And so I realized like that's what it needed to be for the game because you should feel on edge like the
True.
entire time you're playing messages, except for one space, which I can bring up in a moment. But to me, it just means like when I'm listening to this one, I find the music kind of all starts to almost like blend together a bit, and I have a hard time like
I see that.
distinguishing.
No, absolutely.
Whereas
Absolutely.
we're gonna get to some other soundtracks that I feel like they just have so many different colors and
Mhm.
sounds and emotions that he's tapping into, and so they're very distinct in my mind. This one less so. So like I realize it's like I respect it. Like he did his job.
Mhm.
It is spooky.
Yeah.
But it's like more as like a personal preference. It's not one of my favorites.
I
Because
know.
I just wish there were
Yeah.
more to it. Like
No, I get
more
that.
sounds to explore.
Well, I mean, like, even with the game that came before it with Stay Tuned for Danger, you had like day tracks, and then you had these night tracks, and then you had these danger suspenseful tracks. And there was a little bit like, then you had this like straight peaceful lobby music, right? But this one is more in like one basket, which is just to be like a spooky manor.
Except for one track.
Which is
And
actually one of my
I know
favorite
you really love
tracks.
this one, so I wanted to ask you, the standout to me besides entry is also Chinese.
I love that one.
It
Mm,
does sound like one of a kind.
I love it.
Both for
I
the cultural flavor, but also like
Yes.
it's peaceful. It's
It,
peaceful in a way the other
do
ones
I
are.
just always like peaceful
But yeah,
tracks? Is
you just
that
need to
what's
go on because I
is
know
that
you really love this.
No, I mean, is that what it is for me? Because I don't know, but maybe it is because but honestly, I think I tried to fill this out in your survey that one time, um, and I had
I love the shame you still feel bad. Wait, please, no, it's
no,
fine.
but I think it's because, uh, which we talked about this with this game, how a lot of these tracks are very tied to specific environments. And for me, I link a lot of what I hear to where I'm at. And so in the Nancy Drew games. And specifically, I just always knew that this track Chinese would play when you would go to Nancy's room. And I think I treated Nancy's room as like, oh, this is like a cozy central command space where I go
Yeah,
to sort clues and think about things and get away from I see and whatever other random like
yeah,
spooky
what
things would
makes it
happen.
extra offensive when that note gets slid under the door. How dare you infiltrate my
Interrupt
space?
my peaceful place. Yes, I know.
Yes, get out of my Chinese room.
Yes, but when it plays, there's something about that note, that first note that kicks it off. And like I can feel it in my like spine right now, in my bones, deep.
Oh,
It's visceral. Like I can hear it in my brain. It just kicks off with that low hum, and it gives me like all the chills and just everything because it's I don't know. It's just it's linked to a safe space. It's peaceful. It's
yeah.
wonderful.
And the other thing I will say is this just the peacefulness, but also the fact that he is pulling in some of those, like both with the instruments that he chose and the
Oh,
way the melodies
absolutely.
written, like he's pulling in, he is trying to convey some of that Chinese music,
Oh
which
yeah.
I feel like this game kind of feels like our first hint that Kevin Manthei can write like
Oh,
world music.
good point.
Because later, not so much in this episode, but when we do part 2 next week,
Yes.
that is when he really just had to put a different hat on.
Good point.
Stylistically, every single game.
Yes.
Because the experimental era was sending Nancy like all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to rise to the occasion. So I feel like this is your first taste.
Excellent point.
Like,
yes.
Yes. Like
I love that.
Oh, yes. If you tell this man he's got to write for a whole like culture, he can do it.
Which honestly kind of started to see some threads of that in the very next game as well.
Yes. Yes, I agree. In a different way. Yes.
Yeah. So I think we should talk about that.
Yes. Treasure in the Royal Tower, which understandably so is a fan favorite, not just as a game, but the soundtrack.
Yes.
Is very beloved. And it is,
Super.
I do feel like he stepped up to a new tier.
I agree.
Of composing.
I agree.
When he came up with this sound.
Well, and if you wanted to like talk about just that arc of like where we've come from so far, I mean, you've got The Secrets Can Kill, like very few tracks, very short tracks, and there's that. And then Stay Tuned for Danger. Now we're longer, and it was a step up, showed more of what he could do. And then Message in a Haunted Mansion, now he's like showing even more, like, hey, I can like include like, you know, different regions of music and incorporate that into the sound. And then now we're here, and now some of the tracks are longer, some of them are longer, and they are still incorporating like other sounds. But oh my gosh, it was like what you were talking about earlier about how like it showed different colors of music. I feel like that is very evident in Treasure in the Royal Tower.
And what really stands out to is I feel that this one, again, you know, the other ones, like, again, lots of piano, lots of you know, he's just generating like strings, digital strings. This one though it had to feel very classical, like because of the French Revolution element.
Right.
He had to tap into more of this like classical music sound. So there are some tracks in here that feel very like feel very similar to what he had been doing before, but then you get things like Warm, TRT, like the one that plays during the opening letter, and the Discovery track that, like, you know, you got harpsichord, you got still the strings, but they're doing like very like things that sound straight out of like, you know, Mozart or whatever composer lived during, you know, that general time period. Which I'm probably misspeaking and saying Mozart. He's the first name that came to mind. But I always think of this one like, oh, so by the way, Kevin Manthei's like, hey, I can write classical music too if you need me to do that. Which that's not an easy feat. Like classical music is very like the theory involved, the technique, like that's very stylistically demanding. Pull it off and do it well. So again, that's why I feel like this one elevated him to a new level.
Yeah, no, it really did though. It really did. And I feel like you can feel that.
And of course, don't we all just always think of the harpsichord when we think of this soundtrack? Like, you know, Warm, like all those trills. It's just like doing trills all over the. And like, oh my goodness. Like, I feel like that. Yeah, that one. I mentioned the three. They just feel very 18th century classical music, and I just love it so much.
Oh, I know. And this is actually when I was doing your survey and I got to this game, this is actually the first game. So I want to be clear with that. This was the first game in order where I got to it and I was like, I loved it all. I don't have any I didn't have any thing to really say about any of the tracks. I really individually loved every single one. I probably listened to Hugh's video of the official soundtrack more than once. I've listened to it multiple times because I would listen to the whole thing and I'd be like, oh, it's over, play it again. And then I'd play it again and I'd listen to it again and I'd be like, whoa, I just can't find anything that I don't love about it. And I think, again, to attest to how this is like another step up, it's just that there are so many individual tracks that they're so different from each other, like the music that plays that's supposed to be more on the danger side, and then the peaceful, and maybe not like danger or peaceful, but make it in between. Maybe it's just more like a kind of creepy or whatever.
I was gonna say he's got some very ambient tracks in this, where it wasn't really music. It's more just he's exploring sounds.
Yes.
So like
yes.
shaft
Yes,
and tunnel,
shaft.
like the things you hear when you're like crawling around in dark
Yes.
spaces.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I have no complaints with it. Like everything I listened to, I was like, it's just so perfect for what it's going into. Like I love it. So
yes. Also, I feel like we're gonna offend some people if we don't also give some love to Somber, because that's another very popular, which I love it. That one I've always appreciated because it starts like, so he introduces the melody and then he does it again. And this is a good demonstration of what he means of how do I without boring you.
Yes.
When the melody comes back, suddenly you hear, was it cello? Like echoing it. Mm-hmm. So he's giving you that variety. Like, yeah, it's the same melody, but now there's an echo going on, which creates like harmonies that you would have gotten otherwise. So he's really demonstrating his skill. And then it goes into that lovely part, like the piano comes in, I think, and it gets a little bit, a little bit sinister at the end because it like switches into minor chords. So there's just that track, just like that 1 minute of music starts very cozy, ends a little bit like uncertain. He just gave the listener so much.
Oh, it's so good. And hey, actually, if you're listening right now, I'll hopefully during the live premiere or maybe in the description, because I would love for you to also be able to check out a couple weeks back, or maybe I was 2 months ago. I can't remember when it was. I had shared the Treasure in the World Tower track, like what it almost sounded like.
Yes.
And that was really a fun find. It was in the files for the final scene. They had like had it sitting there in the game files in the final scene. And it's actually a different variation for one of the tracks in Treasure in the World Tower, the ending. And I ended up sharing it. And even Kevin, he commented on it and was like, I don't remember this. And he's like, I don't remember this at all. And no, it's very, very cool, though, to see what he maybe possibly experimented with that didn't end up in the game, which I loved. It was just so good. Yeah,
that was a really interesting find because it sounded way different.
Way different, right? Like very like mysterious, like ooh, yeah.
Yes. And also in terms of kind of, we're just working through like milestone moments and things. This was the first soundtrack that had victory music.
Oh, the victory music.
Every time you retrieve a medallion, you get discovery play. And the victory music tracks, they're always titled Discovery. And this one, this one is my favorite. Like no knock on the Danger on Deception Island. I do love them passionately. But this one is, I think there's just something about how, again, because of how classical it sounds, harpsichord and the other instruments, I just love it. And I have to like stop everything I'm doing if I'm playing this game.
Just enjoy it.
Just so I can listen to it. Yes, it's so good.
I know. And why didn't they keep doing that? There's only like a handful of games that had it, and then it just never came out.
It's only the classic era and the dream music. And I think it like disappeared.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
All right. And then one other thing I wanted to say.
Oh, again, wait, we should also put this in live premiere. Tell us what your favorite victory music is from.
Yes.
Let us know.
Okay. Yes. And then one other thing I will say about this soundtrack, again, This is not a criticism of Kevin Manthei's work. I'm realizing he's doing the best with what he had available to it. One thing that I do wish could be different about this soundtrack, and I think again it's because of that whole like classical music element and how many of these tracks like sound like chamber music. Like I can picture live musicians like sitting in Wickford Castle, like playing them in the hall or down in the foyer or something. I wish that he had been using live musicians at this time period. As far as I know, he wasn't yet. Like, no, it's all sounds like the strings in this one sound digital to me. And he does do a switch. Like, he did start bringing in live musicians to record things this year. But it's like, I feel like of all the soundtracks that would have just absolutely flourished had they had live recordings like this one. Seriously. I'm like, can we get a remaster of this soundtrack played live the whole way? Like, I would die. Go ahead. Like, write my eulogy, please. I would die. Because it would sound.
Story.
Yes. Like, it would sound that good.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I do not have as much of a musically trained ear as you would ever. So I probably wouldn't be able to like hear it much of a difference, but
yeah.
I'm sure that if it did exist with real musicians and you showed it to me and you'd be like, listen to the difference, I'd be like,
I think then you would just,
and then I would know. So.
Like it always like throws me off for a little bit. I feel like it takes me a little bit to kind of adjust to this soundtrack because I so badly want it to all be live. Because I feel like that's what the style demands. And it all sounds like it came from a computer. Get all like, and then I'm like, stop. I was like, and that's not a criticism of, the quality of the music. It's a production element that I wish could have been different. Like Kevin, yeah, just go back and I know we already got everything in high quality with those Music for Mysteries volumes, but like, yeah, can we also go back and just make it all acoustic? Anyway, so that's our onion. And next we have the final scene, which I think you and I both have on one point. I think we have some similar feelings.
I think so. And I think people would probably share that onion with us.
I will let you.
Well, the final scene has excellent music for, again, exactly what the theme he was given.
Yes.
He pressed into it wholeheartedly, 110%. It is very like showman, circusy, magician, like step right up kind of music, but that is just not something that I find very pleasant, and I don't think a lot of people would, and in terms of, a lot of the Nancy Drew music is music that we all put on to listen to in the background, like even aside from the game, but this is not music that I'm like, let me just listen to some stressful final scene danger music. That'll really get my heart bumping, so.
Yes, it's not. I agree with you. It doesn't make for the greatest like personal listening music, which actually that is one. And I don't know where you landed, but actually that is one of the things. Like, if I can ever persuade myself to try to rank these soundtracks in any sort of way, like put them in a tier ranking or what, which I know you did. I still don't know how you managed to do that. Like, but
me either.
One of the things that actually does tend to make me like bump a soundtrack higher in my ranking is the word I use is transcendence. And what I mean by that is not that it's just some sort of like, oh, it's so glorious, I feel like I'm having an out of body experience. Although sometimes that is what happens. What I mean though is I mean transcendent in the sense like the music it's so good that it transcends its game. Meaning like you could take it out of its game and like just thoroughly enjoy it. Like just as an album of music to listen to because you want to enjoy some good music. And so I feel like this one, yes, because he did tap into the mystery and the location so much, it's kind of like, well, yeah, it works really well for the final scene, but unless I'm playing the final scene, I just don't care about this soundtrack. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
No,
sorry to say,
it's just
because of the style.
because of the style, right? Well, and it's just imagine someone being like, "Oh man, I have chores to do today. Let me put on the final scene Danger Zero One and Zero Two soundtrack." I mean, because nobody's doing that. No, everyone's listening to Danger on Deception Island and Warnings at Waverly Academy, and
Yeah. So I think this is one of those more. I think you and I would both say like we respect this soundtrack, but
absolutely,
like we don't love it. It's like one of those
absolutely,
like it's just just a matter of personal preference. Although, I think you and I both
we do,
when you did the survey,
we
didn't
do.
weren't you able to commit and say
Yep,
like Maya was your
Maya was my
favorite?
favorite. Yeah. But I actually had a reason for it. And not just because of the track
Did
itself. I mean, yes, the track itself, but also too because I loved that it played every day. Every time a new day
yes on a day
started,
change. I remember you mentioning that.
I loved that that is what set the tone and started the day. Like, oh, hey, yeah, remember Maya. Like, that's the. So I loved that.
Yes. And this is actually where I feel like it's kind of cool like you and I sometimes like what draws us into a piece of music. Like
Mm,
you I notice you tend to attach your enjoyment of things in a lot of cases to like what's happening in the game when this starts playing. And I know you have
yes.
described to me some very like visceral memory. This track comes on and you can like picture yourself like sitting at the computer like I
Yes.
was in this room and this was
Just
happening.
wait till game 9.
And whereas me, I will tend to I'm looking at more as like as a piece of music because in my case like I realize that Maya plays on each day change, but the reason why I gravitate to that track so much and say it's my favorite is because I feel like it's the one like it's the most melodic and it
Yeah.
feels most like music. Like the final scene, the other thing that's interesting to me, and again I commend him a lot of the tracks in the final scene, it's almost like they'll throw little snippets of melody at you. Like this could turn into a song, but then it kind of just like falls apart,
Sure.
which is exactly what it should be because you're
Mm.
in this decrepit theater that's going to be knocked down soon. So musically, that makes sense. That you kind of have this like, it's trying to be music, but it's falling apart, just like the theater. So I love that, but like again, I'm a melody girl at heart. Y'all are gonna find out as we get further and further into this, and I start gushing about certain tracks. Like, you give me a melody that I can latch onto, like I will love you for. And Maya has, I feel like, the strongest melody of all of this
Oh, I
Dave's
agree.
track.
I agree, and I think that's also too why I enjoyed it. Aside from it playing every day, was also too because it wasn't like one of those, you know,
It wasn't one of those more ambient
like
ones.
cranking around. Like remember I said that, and when I
Yeah.
played my
Oh yeah.
final scene, like, and I was like, "Hey there, I'm a detective. Where were you last seen?" That's what it sounds like every time I listen to one of the tracks. But no, what we really should talk about is at the end when you get to the end of this game, we need to talk about that music.
I will say. I will say.
I agree with you. I already agree with what you're about to
Yep.
say.
Yep. I'm gonna die on this hill. Watch me. I'm gonna walk up onto this hill with my onions, put my stake in
Stick
the
your
ground. Like,
tombstone.
yep, yep. Here we go. I'm dying on this hill.
I'm
This
dying with you on
soundtrack
it.
has the best danger
The
tracks.
best.
Full stop. Period. No arguments. We have said it here on Stay Tuned for Deep Dives. Best danger
Your
tracks in the
arguments are
whole series.
invalid.
Everyone else, if you think something different, you're wrong.
You're wrong. Sorry, friends. This is no, but really, this is because nobody can deny that if not for the music, the ending would not be as hype as it is. It just wouldn't be.
Yes, and in fact, it's 2 different tracks. There's a danger 1 and a danger 2.
Yep.
They're both stressful.
Yeah.
And and danger 1, I remember danger 1's got those, I think it's got those piano notes in the bass. They're just, that piano's getting smashed. Like, boom, 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 like, oh my goodness. But
Yeah.
danger 2, that's the one that plays like at the very, very end. Like, I think when the timer's going, you're trying to find the keys, you're trying to break Maya out of her little container, you're doing the face off with the culprit. Like, that music, I'll say,
My heart started beating faster.
I don't even have to be playing the game. That music gives me anxiety.
Oh, absolutely.
Just on its own.
Listening,
Like,
yeah.
I remember every time I listen to this soundtrack and that track comes up, I feel my heart rate like immediately, like my body tenses up, elevates. Like, I just like, oh my goodness, this is so stressful.
It truly elicits a response out of you.
And it's so brilliant because if you listen, there's percussion in there that sounds like a ticking clock, which it's a time challenge. And you literally, like, Nancy's got to beat the timer. Again, he's going real deep with these bass notes, so it's creating like a forcefulness and an intensity, and then like it just keeps building. And I think this is the most brilliant thing, is he takes that Maya melody, and what he does is he pulls it into this track, and it's playing faster, 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 and it just keeps pitching higher, 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 higher.
Really? I did not know that.
Yes, listen to this track sometime.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
That's the Maya melody, and
Oh,
it
that's
just
cool.
keeps going higher and higher and higher until you feel like you're gonna like have a heart attack. Which, is that not brilliant? Because
That's
Maya's
amazing.
literally,
Yeah,
her life is on the line.
Yes.
She's right there. She's going to die if you don't save her.
Oh, that's so cool.
So he was telling the story, like, yeah, here's Maya. We gotta save her.
I love that.
So, like, yeah, I feel the stress in my whole body. So, for all this not being like a personal favorite soundtrack of mine, like 100 out of 10 for Danger 1 and 2.
Yep.
Like, no notes, no complaints,
Yep.
Perfection in every way.
Yep.
There has never been a greater danger track, and I don't think there ever will.
I agree.
Ugh.
But then we get to move on to the next game, Secret of the Scarlet Hand.
Yes.
And
yes.
this one's really really fun. It's a fun soundtrack.
Yeah.
He really channeled in all of these like nature sounds, temple sounds. So he was really leaning into all of the elements of the theme, like he always does.
And you know how we mentioned, like, Chinese? That's kind of your first taste of when he has to do world music. I feel like this is the first soundtrack that really demanded of him, like,
Absolutely.
he's got to capture the music of a whole people group.
Absolutely.
Because he had to give those like Maya music elements.
Absolutely. And it works so well with what it is. Specifically though, there is this one track that everyone really flocks to on this game. But it's interesting because out of, I would say, the majority, this is just like me speaking now, and especially because I did your survey and it made me think these things, is that I listened to the soundtrack and there's a pretty good chunk of a lot of the nature sounds, the Mayan sounds, the temple-y kind of sounds. There was that one soundtrack that has that
The male vocals.
Yes.
Are they just not the creepiest?
They're so creepy. But like,
in a good way, but still.
Yeah, and then there's like,
never got anything like that before.
There's like a few little handful of ones that almost are similar to Secret. They kind of go back to Secrets Can Kill. I think or it may be the same thing. I don't know. It plays in the lab. It's some kind of like piano something that plays.
I know what you're thinking of.
Yeah, it's very similar to Secrets Can Kill. Mystery Light, I think, is very similar to that. And there's a couple of other tracks, but there's this one track that's very different from anything we've gotten before that everyone seems to really love. It's exotic. It's that wonderful guitar just makes you want to
Yeah.
dance song.
I like to call this track the first great Nancy Drew bop.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, like if you're just going in sequential order by game, I feel like this is when we get our first true bop is
True
with
bop.
Exotic.
Yes. Although I
Like
did
I
bop
mean,
to the
we
theme
could have a
song,
dance break right now
but
because
this one
it's
I know what you're
yeah
saying. This is more
yeah
like a dancey kind of. The other one was more like
yes.
I hummed and I was
Oh,
like da da. But
and
this one,
it's that like that guitar. It's so smooth.
yeah,
Like
and
it really just draws you
is there
in.
maracas in that specific, like, or some kind of shaker or something?
I'm trying to remember if it's that one, but there definitely is like some. There definitely is a percussive element.
I can
There
hear
it is.
it.
It's very rhythmic.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Do yeah. It's like obviously. I wish I had Mariah. We could just sit here.
That's pretty much
So,
what I did. I remember when I replayed this game during my replays, Secret of Scarlet Hand, and that song came on. I think I took a full 60 seconds to stop and just dance with everybody
I'm
because
pretty sure you did. I think I remember that. Yes,
because it
like
came
we
on and I
do.
was like, oh, I just can't
Yes, you
help but
did.
want to do this. Like, just can't help it.
Yeah. Yes, everyone go. You can go look that video up. I'm pretty sure I timestamped it in the comments somewhere. But yes, it really is. Just, and understand. I mean, I realize like people tend to gravitate to more upbeat tracks, and sometimes we might miss a very high quality piece that's like slower or maybe more pensive or quiet, and like it's easy for a track like Exotic to kind of just take over, because I will say when I think of Secret of the Scarlet Hand, I do kind of think of like Exotic and everything else.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's exactly right.
um but at the same time, I don't think that doesn't make Exotic a bad track. I think it genuinely, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was, I don't remember what percentage of people chose it as their favorites on the survey. I think it was like 80
I was
something
gonna say it
percent.
has to be a big portion.
Like, understandably so. How could you not love it? Now, I did just have to double check because you mentioned the one that plays in the lab.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that's like da, 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 da. Like, yeah, and it just like I'm not doing just to any of these things. Like, y'all just need to go listen to things yourself. But yes, it's that piano part that just keeps repeating.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had made note of that track um in prepping for this episode, because I felt like this was another good demonstration of, again, how does Kevin Manthei get around the looping problem? Because this is where that track, that piano part, repeats the entire time. But if you listen, he's constantly changing it up in some way. So you get that eerie piano introduction, draws you in, like your ears are fully engaged. But then when it comes around on the repeat, then he brings in their strings playing. So then suddenly you're like, the piano becomes almost like an anchor for your ear. But now you have like, ooh, new instruments to listen to. What are they doing? And then it comes back the third time around, and the piano goes like up a whole octave. So now the notes are higher, and the strings are also doing their thing. But then also, I think he harp in at the very end. So I feel like that one really like kind of perfectly encapsulates again what he's saying. Like, I don't want you guys to hate the music. Like, I want to give you something new every time.
Oh
So
yeah.
he can take those little like melodies, those motifs, and yes, he might keep repeating it, but he's always going to sprinkle in these new things to keep your attention, and that makes you feel like the music is developing shape and it's going. So, but yeah, I actually do. That's probably my second favorite track on this soundtrack, honestly, because I think there really is something, and I do agree with you. It sounds so much like Mystery Light, which is interesting because the environments are similar. You're walking into a very like white walls, light floor, fluorescent lights shining over your head. So
Yeah, I don't know.
even
I
the
actually
environment is
always
similar.
thought they were the same. I didn't even realize that they were different from one another.
Yeah, I don't. That's very interesting to me. I do think stylistic same thing. And this one I always remember, like, I feel like the victory music, like every
Mm-hmm.
time you get a jade carving in this one,
Mm-hmm.
like it's such a different vibe. Like it's not like this upbeat, cheery. Like he definitely leaned into kind of more of the like the ethnic
Mm-hmm.
elements with it.
Yes.
Oh,
Bits.
yeah. Okay. Do you have anything else to add about this one? If not, I was going to mention just a little. Yes. Okay, then we will just mention with this one. If you actually look at the credits, the game credits, you'll see that Kevin Manthei is not actually the only one listed for music. Another composer, Kevin Reapel, I don't know how to say his last name. He gets credited for additional music. So I looked him up, and actually he was one of Kevin Manthei's assistants. He started working for him in the
Oh.
early 2000s, which would line up with when Secret of the Scarlet Hand was being made. I don't know exactly like how much he contributed, like which tracks he helped with. But you're also going to see his name on the credits for the next two soundtracks after this. And this is another thing that Kevin Manthei shared on his interview, that yes, like he would do the heavy lifting pretty much all himself, but sometimes he liked to reach out to other composers to get them to like to work with him, work under him. Because he found that like he enjoyed the collaboration, but he also felt like it just allowed the soundtrack, like you could explore more sound, more possibilities. Which honestly, I love that he kind of had the realization, like, you know what, it doesn't all just need to be me. Like
Yeah.
bring other voices into the room, and they might come up with something like I couldn't think of. So it's still like he's supervising everything and still like giving feedback, but no, not necessarily. It's not him always sitting down and like composing every single thing himself. And I think this is particularly what's going on here, because Kevin Reapel was his assistant and a co-writing partner for him for a few years. Was Kevin said that he would sometimes get like assistants like who were like fresh out of school. And so what he would actually do is he'd give that, hey, he's like, come up with this track. And he was doing it more as like giving them a chance to develop their composer abilities, because the only way you learn is doing it.
Right.
And then he would like, he would oversee it and give lots of feedback. But he's giving like his assistants a chance to kind of get their feet wet.
Love that.
So that's a fun little detail. Like I wish we knew this. I'd love to know specifics of like who did what and kind of what the
Yeah.
process was like. But the key is it's still like, Kevin Manthei is certainly like overseeing and approving everything, even if necessarily he didn't write every single. So that's Secret of the Scarlet Hand, and then we get Ghost Dog of
Ooh.
Moon Lake, which I'm excited to hear your thoughts about this one, because you and I both like, we love the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel this is a noteworthy one because Kevin himself described Ghost Dog's soundtrack as being very cinematic. Yes, I totally get what he's saying with that, because
That's how I
it
feel.
does. There's a certain like movie quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think between like there's lots of orchestration, the jazz elements with the Malone track, like yeah, it's like this absolutely feels like it could make a great movie. And this is a good time to mention that actually like Kevin has education in this area. Like he loves writing for film and TV. So he went on to graduate school and he did a whole program in writing for film and TV. So it's not like, he just decided, hey, let me just see what happens. Like he's very skilled and knows how
Love
to
that.
make things sound cinematic. And I think that actually works to this soundtrack's advantage. Like this is actually what I was mentioning. I find that the tracks in this game are very distinct.
Ooh, yes. Good way to say
Like
that. Yeah.
they all stand out in some way.
So right.
Like no two sound one like the other.
Yes. Yeah,
And
no, you're right.
I love it for
No, yeah, you're right. I know you made an excellent point when you talked about that with Message in a Haunted Mansion, and I really did I really see that sometimes they can all just kind of blend together. But yeah, you're right. I love the way you say that this has been very distinct. Yeah.
so I do have quite a few, particular favorites in this soundtrack, but like I want to know what you think.
Well, this was the second game I got to where I listened to all the soundtracks again, and I was like, I have nothing to say. Like, they're all so great, because they all fit really well for what they do. I know I really like Nostalgia. That track I really like. It's peaceful. A lot. This whole game has a lot of peaceful tracks in it. Um, Day and Night are so good. I love every time you switch from day to night, and as soon as you switch,
You will
it's
get
like
different music.
you get different music, but you get that flood, like it floods into your mind. You're like of that familiarity. Like as soon as I hit day, I know I'm about to hear da 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 with the little harps and the little and I just know that's what I'm about to.
Flute,
Yeah,
big key
yeah.
player in that.
That's what I'm about to get into, and then same with night. So I really like those. But what about you?
Okay, well, since you mentioned Day, I've always felt like it really embodies. Like, I don't. Again, I'd love to know kind of what Her Interactive gave him, like
Mm,
what they were looking for.
true.
But just in terms of like as a piece of music, yes, it is daytime as music. It's
Yes.
bright. The flute always reminds me of like birds
Yes.
flying through the air, which birds are an important part of this game. Um, however, and again, this isn't really Kevin Manthei's fault, I don't think. Maybe more like again if they were stuck in that template. This is the formula we want to. Wish maybe they had branched out a bit. I do feel like this is a soundtrack where the way the music is integrated is sometimes a little bit of a disservice. I really wish, honestly, like I wish they had let him write like one more daytime.
That's fair.
Only because I feel like when you're playing this game, day tends to
It
play
does play a lot.
a lot.
Mm.
And it especially plays a lot in the ranger station.
When you're having to read everything.
And here's the deal. Here's the thing about me. I am the kind of player I read everything every single time. And so I do. I read every entry on that computer. I read every poster that Jeff Akers put up on the wall. Like I read it all. And so I am sometimes in that museum ranger station for a very long time. So I can personally testify to Day sometimes just plays over and over. And while I do love it as a piece of music, it sometimes gets to be a little bit overstimulating. Like, I need something different. And so I wish that they had told him to either that they had let him write one more or maybe somehow they had formulated it like just so that there was another track that could play during the daytime. Because I think one issue that Ghost Dogs runs into is because you need the spooky tracks because it's a ghostly game. You need the Malone track like for the speakeasy, but they wanted daytime track. But they also needed things to play at night, so it's almost like they kind of stretched themselves really thin.
Yeah.
So I think if they had upped the number that they told them to write, then I think this soundtrack probably would no issue. So it's not really Day's fault that it plays a lot. That's more like Her Interactive's fault, I guess.
Boo, Her Interactive.
Yeah. However,
Ooh,
my favorite, and
I'm
honestly
ready.
might be like in my top 5 Nancy Drew tracks. And like I did a piano cover of this track.
And it was brilliant. It was so good.
Because I'm so obsessed with it. I love Moon.
Oh,
Like
yes.
Moon is my favorite. That harp
Yes.
that comes in at the beginning, and then like when the piano notes come in, da, 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 da. Like the chord progressions, there's something very like he doesn't go with the things necessarily that your ear would expect. Like it just has this very ethereal, again, a dreamy quality, which fits the moon.
Yes.
Like the moon kind of has this magic and like dreaminess to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he absolutely captured, and it's like so peaceful. I just need to stop and bask in it whenever that track comes up.
Oh, yes,
That's
I agree.
That's a huge favorite of mine, and I do appreciate that also it does play at night, which gives your ear a little bit of a break from some of those like spookier tracks. Because sometimes it's like the intensity, sometimes with some of these soundtracks, it can almost get to be a bit too much. It's like, I need a break. This is creeping me out. And so it's nice that you can wander around at night in the game and have a little bit of a break.
Sure.
I also love Ghosts.
Oh, that
which
was a great
I
one.
think plays in the credits. But other than that, you only hear it when the ghost dogs attack.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the game.
Sounds like
And
Harry
I
Potter.
just think it does. And that's another one I think where the flute really shines in day and in Ghosts. Because which I think is cool, it's like he can make a flute sound like a bird. He can also make a flute sound like a ghost fluttering through the air. So I love that one. And then this is more of like, I wanted to ask your thoughts on this. Do you think this soundtrack could have used more of the jazz qualities?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Because, it's supposed to be centered around that, as more of the story.
Yeah.
And really, that one's the only one I think that has a more...
I think it's just Malone.
Yeah, it's just Malone. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Like, whenever I listen to the soundtrack, I was like, man, more of that.
Well, this game definitely, pretty much like what you said, they were kind of like spread thin. They could have just used more tracks.
Yeah, honestly, double the number. I think you've been able to do, or like 15 to 20. Honestly, I feel. Yeah, because I think it's a bummer, and I realize like the speakeasy itself doesn't come in until towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
But still, as you're doing the mystery and things, like you're getting into all this 1920 stuff. Even just, I wish if they'd done something like when you call Vivian Whitmore, the music changes. And you hear like this 1920s stuff playing in the background, talking on the phone to her. That would have been really fun. So I think Malone is wonderful. I just wish there were more. Give me more. Okay, so I was wondering what you thought of that. Okay, so are we ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Which I think this is another one. Another one where we have our onions cooked pretty similarly.
Yeah.
The Haunted Carousel.
It's pretty similar to the final scene, honestly. But I don't know. Maybe it is the same for you. Does it rank? I'm trying to remember. I don't really know. I just don't like either one of them really for listening purposes. It's not something that I
feel you.
But also too, I hate clowns, and it just reminds me of carnivals and circus, and that just immediately sends me into please get me out of here.
Yeah, this is another one where it's like, is it appropriate for its game?
All the time. He never will never ever miss that.
I respect Kevin Manthei's work on this. And the other thing I feel like is actually, I think the soundtrack is more haunting than the game itself. Like,
that's funny.
The Haunted Carousel, I love it, but also it doesn't end up being, I feel like, as scary.
What you think it's supposed to be? Yeah.
Yeah. It actually is pretty light on the spooks, honestly.
I would agree.
But the soundtrack very often sounds pretty spooky.
Oh yeah.
So all that, great. Do I like this soundtrack?
No.
No, not really. Not really. Because I'm with you. Carnivals are not my thing. I also don't like clowns. Like, I'm just not into that. So I just hear this music and I'm just like,
I was like, oh,
no, this is not it. And I'm also, I'm gonna be totally honest, this is more of a genuine criticism. The band organ tracks, Carousel A and B, I realize they're very iconic. Because you hear Carousel A, like when you try to retrieve the brass ring. Carousel B, like, don't we all know Carousel B? Dude. Like, there's literally a puzzle. You have to know how the melody goes. So, they're, like, I get it. They're what they need to be, but I find them they're so loud. So loud and, like, overstimulating. And so whenever they come on, I kind of just sit there. Like, make it stop. It's too much.
Look, I only
I
have
can't take
two tracks that I'm just like absolutely like, okay, I'll go for those. The first one, I think it's called Kessler, and it's the one where it's like bum ba-da-dum, bum 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 ba-da, ba-da-dum,
Oh,
ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum,
okay, that one
ba-da-dum.
sounds. Yeah. Yes.
I
Okay.
think it's Kessler. I think.
Yes, I can hear you're talking about like those strings.
Uh,
Yes, like
bum
plucking
ba-da-dum,
at
ba-da-dum,
the
ba-da-dum,
strings.
ba-da-da. Yeah, I like that one, and I like I think it's considered the victory music where it's like da da. I can't remember how it goes though. It's when you
Oh
like
yeah.
find something and then it's like maybe
Yeah.
it may be called Success A or Success B, I think is what
Yeah.
it's called. And I just really enjoyed that one. That's pretty much it. Where you do something and then it plays you this nice happy tune.
Yeah.
That's literally about it.
Yes. I always thought I feel like Miles is very
Ooh,
fun
I don't remember that one.
too. Um it's really doesn't fit the vibe of like anything else on the track in terms like it's not spooky at all. Like it's very quirky. It has
Hmm.
like no colorful elements to it because it's meant to be for Miles, the Magnificent Memory Machine. Um and I think it's appropriately like quirky as a piece of music because he's a very quirky gadget. Like he
Sure.
was a cop job of different like household parts. So very very fitting. How I did want to say though, just to make sure that I'm not just like criticizing this soundtrack or saying how much it's not to my personal taste. I actually think this is important because we just talked about how this one and the final kind of similar, like they both carnival music heavy in their stylings. I do think Kevin does something like again, he's showing his skill, like kind of what you talked about, like he can just get locations
Oh
so
yeah.
perfectly
Mhm.
because I do find because I actually listened to both of these soundtracks on the same day. And so they were both like very fresh and I do feel like the Haunted Carousel's music, it does sound haunted in a
Yeah.
way that the final scenes does not because the final scene didn't need to sound haunted.
Exactly.
There's no hauntings in that game. It's meant to sound again, the final scene sounds like musically it sounds like an old building that's falling apart. A plus plus. Haunted Carousel sounds like an amusement park that might be haunted.
Right.
And I just think that's those nuances where he's being asked basically to write in the same genre, but he's still able to make it so it's not just two of the same thing. I think that's just so impressive, and he needs to be commended for that.
I think that's an excellent point to bring up. You're right. Absolutely.
So
A lot because I now that I'm thinking about like a lot of the tracks in the Haunted Carousel, they do have like especially the one I don't know why, but the one that's the one I just sticks in my brain so much is I think it's the Kessler one, just the back and forth, the strings and the tension of going back and forth. A lot I feel like a lot of them do that in the Haunted Carousel, where there's a lot of like that weaved in there.
yeah, I think Haunted Carousel. I know also I think he used a lot of like ambient sounds.
Mm,
So you'll get a lot more tracks, I think, in this game where it's not music per se.
mm.
Like there's not a melody or whatever follow. Hear how it develops and changes and things. It's more just like he's taking different sounds and he's trying to create a feeling inside with all these sounds. So I think that's another reason why he's able to get that. But yeah, I know what you're talking. These next few soundtracks, like this is the moment I have been living for. Like talking about these final few soundtracks, and we are now like thoroughly in the golden era of games. And I also think it'd be very fair to say like this is golden era Kevin Manthei, like creme de la creme. This stuff is good,
Mm-hmm.
and whew, I'm so excited. But now I'm just gonna hand it off to you because this is your baby. Like this is your game. This is your soundtrack. Like please, I just need to hear Carter just wax eloquent. Give me the TED talk about Danger on Deception Island soundtrack. Because wow.
Well, first of all, for you guys listening, I'm really excited that Tori and I decided to do our music conversations aside from other episodes where we want to dive into our favorites, because we want to be able to really have an actual music conversation today. And so that's what we're going to talk about here in this episode. So I'm excited because that can be a whole conversation in itself, right? But yeah, well, this game and its music, let me tell you guys. I think earlier, Tori, you had mentioned that I was a person that I really linked music to like where I was in the game. Like I can like remember where I was. And this game specifically a lot because it was my first game. And so it's obviously very nostalgic for me. I think I was 6, but I may have been like 6 and I just turned 7. I really don't remember. I was right around that time frame. And I am sitting in, like, you know how Harry Potter lived under the stairs? And he had a little room. Yeah, that's where our computer
Yep.
was. So it was literally under a stairwell in a little room, and it was very cozy, very small. Like it was a tiny, tiny space. But there's the computer, and I'm sitting there, and my feet can't even touch the floor. They're dangling, right? And of course, you have the book menu that opens up, and that really captivating like theme song that we've talked about plays, and I click new game, right? And it has the whole setup and intro with the letter, and then you have that little bit where so it's setting you up for the story. Katie goes, she's walking, you get to the boat. Who ransacked your boat? You exchange a few questions, but then Katie's like, no, you go inside the boat, and
The way I know where this conversation is going.
and
I'm so excited.
you go unpack. And the very first song that you hear in the game is da na 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 da na na na. It's literally called Mystery. That's what it's called. And I was just I melted. I melted as a child and a
Wee little
player.
Carter melted. I love that.
I did. I melted because I was like, you have that beautiful like, set up to engage you and set you up for the storyline and the mystery. And what's the first song that plays? It's Mystery, because the very first thing you're going to do when you start the game is you're going to start investigating. So you start snooping. You literally start. That's the very first thing you do in this game is you start snooping around. You start opening up the cabinets and you start asking Katie, hey, what's this? And something this happened. And so like, it's so fitting for the vibe that it just sets you up for. And so I particularly really love that specific one track because it's
I
the
know.
very like first one that I ever heard. So I love.
And I don't know if you would be willing to admit this, but as your friend, I personally am convinced like that is your own. I don't know if you can say that that's your favorite track of all time, but I think it is. Just the way you talk about it and the way you react to it.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. It just, but because when I replayed Danger on Deception Island in my replay, that same scenario happened.
I actually remember that moment in your stream.
Yeah, it was weird. Like it was like, whoa, I just got transported back in time. Wow, that was a cool feeling.
That. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Now, what really excites me, and I don't think I knew this until, or maybe I did and I forgot until I was like making the Nancy Drew seasonal desk video. And I was putting together the tracks that you and I had collaborated on what track feels like what season. And noticed that I was listening and noticed I was like, whoa, 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 back it up. And the mystery track from Danger on Deception Island was totally different. And then upon like I was like, oh, this is Kevin's extended, like this is his official
Yes,
version.
this is a great demonstration of what extended
Yes.
Kevin Manthei.
And so if you've never heard this before and you're listening today, I need you to please
Go watch the desk video.
well, I was gonna say, please go listen to this one. I just
No,
this
go
one.
watch the desk video. It's the best ambience video in the clip. Okay, bye.
Stop. Thank you. No, but no, really, it is. It is so good, and it has this gorgeous, gorgeous introduction of
Yeah, with
this like.
strings.
I was gonna say cello. I thought know what it was, but
There's a lot of strings.
strings. It's truly beautiful. It sets you up, and it's
I can
just,
actually hear a string quartet playing it the way he's
oh
got
man, and it's
it. I
just
can
beautiful.
envision it.
And I was like, her interactive, put that in your game because that's so
Yeah,
good.
right from the formula. Not everything needs to be a minute. We would have liked something
Yeah,
along.
it's just really beautiful. So I think that's like my first thing, just overall, that I want to say about just the game and its music.
I also feel like that extended intro, it gives a certain almost like a quality to that piece that you're missing otherwise. That kind of like links it more to a track, say like Dirt. So I just think, yeah, I do think it's interesting how sometimes when you get to hear them the way Kevin envisioned them and would have preferred them to be, it's like they take on these added quality.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That
Oh,
just adds a whole nother layer of richness to it that, had we had all of Kevin's versions in the game, oh my goodness, I don't even know what I'd do. But mystery is definitely, that's one's there. And then my other one that I just really, really just have like
I know what it
it's
is.
just a great itch for is caves. I love caves. And actually I see that we have this listed in our notes, but it is something that I think is fun to mention and something that I also want to mention in regards to it. So I had learned when uh, I'm always on the search for fun facts for the Nancy Drew Times Fun Fact Fridays. And someone had shared, like, there are multiple tracks that Kevin has weaved in his, in his plethora of Nancy Drew game soundtracks that he's done that actually model after other music from like the past, like classical pieces and stuff. And so Caves is actually like pulling in from Aquarium from Carnival of the Animals. And when I learned that and then I listened to it, I was like, oh, that's such a cool thing. But what I think is so particularly cool about it is that, well, one, that he has the knowledge to find what things out there, what pieces out there that would make sense for the theme. I love that he found something that's like, yeah, this is Aquarium, Carnival of the Animals, and this is a game focused on aquatic life and an orca. And so when I listen to Caves or when I listen to Aquarium, it literally makes me feel like I'm in an ocean. Specifically, this is what I envision when I'm here. I'm in an ocean and I can see the sun's rays like coming through just the top part of the surface. And so it's not dark. I can actually see what's like floating around, and I can literally see just this life, this aquaticness, this plethora of fish and creatures just all swimming around. And that's what I think of. But that's what the music sounds like, though. It has like just these sounds
Yeah.
that's what I envision.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I really love that one a lot.
So for me, I'll just make a general comment about the soundtrack first. Like, I am on record as saying Curse of Blackmoor is my favorite soundtrack. And I stand by that. But some days I'm convinced, like, no, it's actually Danger on Deception. Like, I feel like it has this, like, hold on.
It
That
has a hold on
none
me?
of the other soundtracks do. And really, it is so well done. Again, he got to explore another, like, more styles and more, like, I think this soundtrack, again, it has so much personality. So many memorable, like, multiple, basically the entire soundtrack. They're all memorable. And again, I think he's capturing a lot of different, like, emotions and feelings. Like, there's danger. Some of these sound suspenseful, mysterious, sorrowful, peaceful, joyful. Like, just covers the whole gambit of things, like, that you could feel when listening to music. And the other thing that I think is really cool is that also in doing that, he's kind of like capturing kind of like the different senses of water, because obviously water is a very important part. And like water, like, you know, the ocean, like the ocean is very majestic. The ocean is also terrifying. The ocean also is very peaceful. Like, it's many things at once, and we kind of think about the ocean in different ways. And I feel like the music kind of does the same thing. So yes, another one in terms of, like, we're making nods to, like, other pieces of music. I've always felt like Caddy's really clever because it's got those low string notes. Don't tell me that's not a nod to. I feel like it has to be. And speaking of Caddy, when you listen to the track Tunnel, he uses, like, this percussion, like, the way he does it. It's like, like, there's literally no way I could mimic it. You just have to trust what I'm about to say and then go listen to it. Is the Tunnel track, like, it's almost like he takes the Caddy melody and it's like this very, like, hollow, like, metallic kind of sound. And so it's like he's flipping it like the tunnels. How could we think of the tunnels? Might we say the tunnels are like Caddy's belly? When we're wandering the tunnels, we're wandering the monster's, stomach. And so I like that he's kind of almost like, it's like he's flipping the music, so it sounds like, yeah, I'm inside, like, the belly of the beast.
I love that.
So again, that's where he's taking the same melody, but he's giving it a new sense, and it fits with, like, where you are in the game.
I love that.
Dirge. I love Dirge. Oh my word. Dirge. Like, you were going on about, I think, Chinese. There's, like, humming notes at the beginning that immediately grab hold of you. Dirge. That's what Dirge is for me.
the one that starts with that?
Yeah, like that droning note. Yes. Immediately. I am undone. But then the melody comes in.
Uh-huh.
And it's so haunting.
Yeah, it is.
Like I told you I'm a melody girl. That right there. There's your demonstration. Like, I'm sat the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sad. I feel like that track actually doesn't play in the game very.
Oh, you're making me want to play this game.
It makes me sad.
You're making me want to sit down and play DDI.
I feel like you said what you said about mystery. I share your sentiments.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another one which really demonstrates, like, he really knows how to make a piano.
Mm-hmm.
Work some magic, which I think he actually said, like, piano is his main instrument. So it's the one he knows best. And I just always think, like, that track, really, there's something about those high piano notes. Like, yes. Oh, like, oh my goodness. Like, he really knows, I think, how to make a piano sing. And also, I've always felt like that track is a really good demonstration of, like, he can write, like, very complex music. Again, like, just because it's for a video game doesn't mean it's simple.
Yeah.
Which we've already demonstrated that many times, but, you get to the second half, which I know you also love, track when it breaks into, like, the strings. Do-do-do. Do-do-do-do.
Yes.
Like, and they're
That's the
bouncing all over the place.
that's the part that I'm
Um,
stuck at right now as I'm trying to learn it on piano because
I'm gonna be honest. That's why I haven't done it as a piano
it's hard.
because that part's hard. Um, but the piano is still doing its own thing, following its own melody. The strings are doing something completely different. And yeah, he weaves it all.
It's beautiful.
And the thing is, like, unless you're a musician, I don't think you, because good composers make it sound effortless. Like, that's really hard to write two separate melodies and then make them sound like they are each distinct in their own right, but they also need
Yeah.
to fit together. Oh, and then
And I
speaking of,
oh yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was
No,
gonna
go
say
ahead.
I just didn't. I totally forgot because you were talking about dirge and we were talking about that low note, and I forgot to mention when I was talking about how I feel like a lot of the tracks he ends up pulling in like sounds to me that are all like aquatic. Like I forget too that those low notes always remind me of like a foghorn, and it feels so
Oh, yeah.
it feels so purposeful like every time because you already can hear those as sound effects in the game when you're like on the shore and the beach, you hear it in the background, but then the music plays and I'm like, oh, it's the foghorn, you know? So again, just the brilliance of him and his thematics.
And then Jig and Pub.
Ho
I wanted to
ho!
talk about them together. Well, first of all, Jig, that's like the next great Nancy Drew bop. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
we just want
yeah.
to. I can already hear the guitar strumming. Like, as soon as that guitar unleashed, I'm just, and that's actually one I will say, because I tend maybe not to think about locations so much, but I do always associate that one through Whale World,
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
playing all the games.
Oh, you just
So,
reminded me of that one. Yep. But we'll get to that.
so it's so fun. Like Jig and Pub, which has the same melody that like
It's so
here.
heavy.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's what I love about that. First of all, I love, again, he's taking the same melody, but he's putting it in two different styles.
Mm-hmm.
So again, maintaining that, so it gives you like that link, but also like keeps you from getting bored. But Pub, one thing I noticed when I was re-listening to Pub is Pub has this cool thing where like one instrument will play the melody and then a different instrument will pick it up right after. And I was like, light bulb moment. It's like they're talking to each other. And what do you do in a pub?
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
You meet up for a conversation. You get
Yeah.
drinks together and you just chat with your friends. And so I love that the instruments, and I did double check, Jig does not do that. It's only in pub. You'll listen.
That's
You can
really
hear
cool.
the instruments go back and forth like they're talking to each
Love that. I love
like,
that.
oh my word, he got it. You're like, yes, we're having conversation. We're at the hot kettle cafe. We got our clam chowder latte, and we're just chatting up a storm.
Hmm.
Oh
I love
my
that.
word.
No,
I
no.
think the.
Oh,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the victory tracks.
Oh,
There's two.
and
First of all,
they're
there's two.
wonderful.
I love it.
They're so nautical
And
and happy and fun and wonderful.
yeah, I love how one of them is kind of more almost like it's got a big kind of like almost more orchestral sound, but then the other one really leans Celtic, like sea shanty kind of
Yes.
element. Um, and then I saved this one for last because honestly, I say like I can't pick a favorite from this soundtrack, which in one sense is true, but also the truth is it's Siren.
Oh.
I love Siren for a lot of reasons. Like I think that's another one. Like when that guitar starts playing, just the gentle strumming, like that's water in its most peaceful sense. Like
Yes.
out floating on the waves.
Yes.
And then that like the flute or whatever comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I have literally felt like like I was talking about Danger 2 makes the anxiety come into my body. Well, I can testify like I have actually felt like stress like leave my body when this one comes up. I just think it's so peaceful, and there is something about it like Siren. You know, the siren
Yes,
call
the
of the
siren
sea,
call.
like they're luring you out.
Mm.
Yes, yes, because when Siren starts playing, like, yep, get me on that water, and that's where I'm gonna stay.
No,
I love it.
there's really this is one of those other soundtracks where, and I'm biased, but I do feel and believe this to be true about this game, is that all of its music is just, all of it is good, you know. I was gonna say, because I forgot to mention it earlier, which this one's not really more of a traditional Kevin track, but there's like this one that plays in Whale World that's really just more like ambience. It's more just like, I don't know what it is. It's just kind of
Oh,
like an ambient note that just plays, but it kind of sounds like SeaWorld. Like aquatic, you know. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look and see what the title of it is, because I'm blanking on what it is right now. But I also really love that one. I don't know if you ever remember the for what when the aquatic theme was like huge in like 90s, early 2000s. Everybody had dolphins
yeah, I
everywhere
lived
and
in
just
that aquatic theme. I still live that aquatic.
well,
I still
there
want to be a marine biologist. Just kidding.
well, there was this one night light that you used to be able to like turn on, and it basically would spin. It would spin in a circle. It was just like aquatic life that would just spin in a circle, and it like lit up. But I always think of that night light because that's what that track reminds me of. It's just like,
Oh,
you
I
know,
love
oh,
that.
whale world, just like, you know, peaceful innocence, and just it's just great. It's just great. The whole everything about it is just all
Really,
beautiful, and I love it.
really, and we, I think, are also like, this is general sentiment. Because one thing I also remember about my survey, Danger on Deception Island got zero criticism. I think there
Okay.
was only a couple of soundtracks that people had not a single bad thing to say, and that was one of them.
I love that. I love it so much because I love VDI.
Yeah. Oh, it
but
really is great.
but then we get to what is my opposite is to you. So it's Secret of Shadow Ranch.
Yeah, we got it. Yep, my favorite game. And I will say, it's funny. I feel like now, and I actually thought about this. I did kind of think about my like first experience and kind of how did the music factor into playing Secret of Shadow Ranch for the first time. So I love like you had a story, like memory stands out to you. I have kind of a similar experience. I do believe the first track that I heard in the ranch living room was Ballad.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's, oh my word. I'll tell you. Um yes, immediately I was hooked. Like, I thought it was so, like, just drew me right in. Like, immediately you got those western vibes. Like, yes, I'm on an Arizona ranch. And so that really does, like, that track has always stood out to me. I think because it was the first, again, not counting the theme music on the menu,
Sure.
like, it was the first Nancy Drew track, like, that I heard. Which, and I think something plays during the intro, but no, like, no, it's what you hear when, like,
Yeah, when
you
the
have
game starts.
when the game starts. You are in control of the keyboard and the mouse. Like, yes.
Which is a
And
great track
it's,
to, I think, start with.
yeah, and I just love like what like the way he uses violin in that one is
Mm.
beautiful. And um actually, you know what I just realized? My brain just did. Now people are going to call me a fraud. They're going to say Ballad's not your favorite. It must be Francis, because I just realized that I was humming the Francis melody. No, Ballad, excuse me. It's like, all, yes. Okay. It's like, this is what happens when you do the notes last week. And then, yes. Okay. No, excuse me. I promise Ballad really is my favorite, although Francis, maybe I did hear Francis first, but anyway, no, Ballad is that one. It's like da da da
Oh yeah,
I think it's my brain was like conflict because they're the both two like they have that similar
that
like
same. Yeah.
swing like Western kind of chill quality. So yes, okay, please, no one come for me and accuse me of like you don't really love ballad. I promise you I do because that harmonica. It speaks to me, Carter. There's a harmonica in that track and I just love it. I can just picture someone sitting out on the front porch next to the vegetable basket, like and just sitting at Shorty's cookout and just playing away on the harmonica. Oh my goodness! Like it is such a sweet track. But since I mentioned Francis, like Francis is also it's a great track too with
Oh
the
yeah.
violin. And that's a really great another great demonstration of like the violin does its own thing, then the guitar comes in and they both have their own melodies. Again, he's able to weave it all together. Um so let's see. Try to think. And I will just say in general, like don't I violin. Like violin just really stands out on this soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
I think he uses it to great effect. And the other thing is, it sounds to me, I think this is kind of when we start getting into like he's bringing in live musicians. Because, fun fact, people, Kevin Manthei
Yes.
actually contacted Her Interactive and he said, I would like more money so that we can have live musicians. And guess what? They listened and they gave him more money. So, both that he could still get his compensation, but also pay musicians to play. And I
Thank
think
you,
the way
her. Thank
I
you.
think usually what would happen is either they would actually come to his studio and record there in studio, or if they were like out like in another state or something, they would like send him a bunch of takes and then he'd, use the best one. So again, I feel like we have another leveling up in quality because now I'm just telling you, I feel like this is one of those like you say you don't really notice the difference. I think like internally you probably like I think when it's live versus just like some sort of digital production. But I'm a big believer like yes, anytime you can use live musicians, do it. Because they bring a soul and a sound to the music that you can't get otherwise. It's like a computer's great, but it cannot mimic what a human can like really do.
Yeah.
And you just get better. You just get better quality. Um, but this is another one, Carter. Just like Danger on Deception Island, I feel like this game's tracks, like they're all so distinct.
Yeah.
Again, despite my memory blanking on Ballad versus Francis, like I really do know the difference between the two of them. But also like, okay, we got to talk about the electric guitar in
Oh.
Desert.
Yep. Man, and it just rips to shreds.
It does.
Yep.
Like, where did that come from? Gutsy. I don't think we've had an electric guitar before or since.
No, and I do remember
But
I think it was in this interview where Kevin was talking about using the electric guitar and just really wanted to just lean into that instrument for something. Because I think they had mentioned uh when Her was giving him like feedback of like, okay, this is what we want it to sound like. Specifically, they were like, yeah, you're gonna be in a desert area. It's really like dry and barren, abandoned, like just alone. And that was the feeling that he wanted to go for was the electric guitar, just railing on it, you know. So I thought,
but speaking of guitar, it's like I love how Desert, yeah, it has like that electric guitar going really hard, but then you
mm-hmm.
also get like the acoustic guitar on something like Dirk, like that do 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 do.
Yeah,
Like, and it's so like suave, a little bit alluring, which I think fits. Like, Dirk was he's this like charming, handsome outlaw that Francis fell in love with.
mm-hmm.
So I think it's very fitting that he gets this kind of like a very smooth,
Ba, 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 ba. Yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah, um, and Drive.
Oh gosh.
Ultimate like Western Americana vibes.
I'm having
Like that,
flashbacks to his
yeah,
Texas
like
quiz.
like it's so, oh my word, it's so, that one is very cinematic.
No,
Like
personally,
one of the most cinematic tracks.
for me, it was Swing. It was that one.
It is so fun.
It is so fun.
Yes,
That's the one
that's
I
another
think about
true
all the
bop.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, that's another one where, again, violin's really
Very
doing a
strong
lot of
on that
heavy
one.
lifting in this. Or I don't know, maybe fiddles
Yeah,
more
fiddle,
would
yeah.
be more appropriate. Because this is supposed to be a Western soundtrack. But yes, and then Lands. That's the one that's like da 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 da, which I think is cool because again he's he's tapping into that bit of a Native American element.
Yeah.
Um and Sleuth. Okay, Sleuth is really fun.
Ooh, I love that
That's
one.
the what I remember most about that one is that violin like like um harmonica and violin both, like they're like sliding all over the place in that track, and it's so like, and he throws them at you in little snippets, and oh my word, like seriously, I just get all like so excited about like just this whole soundtrack. But like that one I put in the notes, I said my stank face is activated. Like when I hear those like the like, yeah, like I wish I knew how to play the harmonica so I could do like a proper like cover of some of these. But yes, oh my goodness, I think it's great. I did, however, okay, this is more something. I guess this is another thing where I wish, like, I feel Secret of Shadowrun is great as is. One thing that I've always wondered about and kind of wish maybe were perhaps different, and has always surprised me, like is particularly with the track Francis. It has no piano in it, which disappoints me because the whole thing about Francis is she was a piano player. So I'm sorry, how do we have a whole track named after her and there's no piano? And I'm also a little bit surprised that piano in general didn't get incorporated. Like it's in ballad and very effective. But I was like, I don't know, that kind of feels like a missed opportunity. However, I don't know, that might not, again, this is another one where that might not be Kevin Manthei's problem. Because if her Interactive, possibly they may not have even told him, like, hey, by the way, Francis is a pianist. Mm-hmm. So can you use lots of piano in the soundtrack? Like, so I'd be very curious. This is one especially I was like, I'd love to see what the document he got looked like.
Right,
like how much did they tell him? Because that's my one, I guess, like criticism. Is like it needs more piano.
Yeah.
Because that's such a key part of Francis.
I don't know. I don't feel like he probably got that to that depth. I don't feel like.
Yeah, I'm kind of just assuming they just didn't tell him that.
Yeah, or maybe they maybe they didn't know yet.
Like,
because
that's true too.
I was gonna say, no, I'm going back to what I was talking about earlier with what they gave. I don't know what this may not have been in Hugh's interview. I don't remember where this piece of information came from that I'm recalling from my brain. I just remember listening to, it was an audio, and it's Kevin's talking about what they gave him as far as like, this is what we want for Secret of Shadow Ranch. And now I'm thinking about with the electric guitar in the desert, I feel like he referred to the possibility that there was going to be like this storm that comes in or something. And that's maybe where he was going with the electric guitar or something. Like it was supposed to bring that in. But then they ended up not doing a storm. Because if you remember in that game, don't they mention that, right? That
tell her about the storms.
Yeah.
Ed Raleigh's voice is seared in my memory. Because I think I have that game's dialogue probably memorized.
Yeah, no, and so I think that's what it was referring to. Look, here's the deal: I've watched and read a lot of things about the Nancy Drew games, and there's no way I'm gonna remember where I
Yeah,
recall
you,
some of the
sir,
stuff.
are a problem because you know all the things, but you don't remember the
I'm
sources.
so sorry. I swear I have heard this somewhere, but I can't remember where. But
Yeah,
you know what? Maybe it was. There's a couple of interviews on the Amateur Sleuth blog with Kevin. Maybe that's where it was.
most likely.
I don't know. But I just remember there was something like that, and I just remember him being like, "Yeah, yeah, electric guitar, yeah, yeah, yeah."
Yeah, so it's not really, just a thing I wish were different.
Yeah, no,
It's
I get it.
fine.
So
It
maybe he
doesn't.
just didn't
It
get that.
doesn't ruin the soundtrack by any means.
No, no,
But
no, no, no.
it
No,
would have
it's
been
a
fun to work.
excellent, excellent soundtrack. Another one that I got to, and I was like, "What am I to add to this? Nothing. There's nothing. It's just perfection." So
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. I do remember people, if they're critical. Well, two things again, going back to like Clue Crew consensus in general. I remember on this survey, the pie chart
was very
was like
split.
evenly split among so many, like, or almost even among so many different tracks, which is like,
It's very
that
telling.
tells me this soundtrack is like everything hits. People love like all of it,
Mm-hmm.
and all of it is again distinct. It's also distinct, and so it's
Mm-hmm.
like, how do you expect me to choose a favorite? And they're
Yep.
all amazing.
Yep.
I think the only general criticism is people will be like, I don't like the banjo tracks in the Roadrunner game, but
That don't
that's not even
count.
Kevin. That's not even Kevin Manthei work, as far as I know. I think that's some like sound library kind of stuff. But it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like,
First of all,
yes,
and those are also
that's
fun.
different. Yeah, they are fun. I get why some people are like, Pete. Anyway,
It's for a mini
and
game.
then, yeah, we just keep going with like everything hits because the next one,
Ooh. Oh my gosh.
Curse of Blackmoor Manor. Woo!
Ooh.
What do we got going on here?
Well, this is also another nostalgic one for me because this was my second game I ever played.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
And
don't think I knew that.
yes,
That's fun.
DDI was first, Kerr was second, and I'm pretty sure Dog was third. Yep.
That's a great starting three.
I know. How did I get that lucky? I don't know. I don't know.
Wow.
But no, yeah, this game is so beautiful. I know that you have particularly mentioned numerous times on different occasions that you love memoirs.
I do. It's true. I mean, I love
Yeah.
a lot of things about this soundtrack. Like, I mean, Memoirs is just, it's actually a lot of people's favorite, like
Yeah,
all
Hugh
time
likes it too.
favorite
I think he has
Nancy Drew
mentioned
track.
that they
Yeah,
love that one.
I think Rue mentioned to me it's her all time favorite. I actually remember when because I made a point, I was like, I gotta do a piano cover of this one like ASAP because it's too iconic to just
Yeah.
let it sit there and be. And I actually remember that one probably, I feel like, got the strongest like fan feedback of so many people were
Really?
just like, oh my word, it's so nostalgic. Oh my word, it's my favorite one of all time. Like, I just love this one so much. Because it really is like,
Yeah.
it's just like sheer elegance. Because
Yes.
immediately, like when that piano introduction starts, like,
Beautiful.
oh my word, it's beautifully played,
Mm-hmm.
and that cello, like,
Wonderful.
oh my goodness, like it really truly is like, that is just straight up beautiful music.
Yeah.
That really transcends like being in a video game. And actually that's a great, since we're talking about this is a great thing to come in, kind of why I continue to stand by Curse of Blackmoor Manor as my favorite like Nancy Drew soundtrack. Because yes, it fits its game. It's very regal, just like the Manor. It's got the spooky elements for, the Beast of Blackmoor and what's going on with Linda. But I just think like it's just good music. Like you could
Yeah.
take the Curse of Blackmoor Manor soundtrack, you could lift so many of those tracks, like just straight out of the game. And again, just listen to them purely as like, man, this is just a guy who knows how to write good.
Yeah.
Like they have that musical transcendence that I am looking for, and that really makes me fall in love with a soundtrack. And I do truly think I will stand by this. I really think that just because of that elegance, and because he really, again, like Treasure in the Royal Tower, he has to tap back into those more like classical music qualities. Um, I really feel like Curse of Blackmoor Manor, honestly, in my onion, it like sits in a, it's like, is there a tier higher than S tier? Because I feel like that's where this soundtrack needs to. That's how highly I think of it, and like what he was able to accomplish, because it's quality at its finest. And I always think about, like, can you imagine if he'd been allowed to make these last for like more than a minute?
Oh, for
Like
more than 1 minute.
yeah, like if Her Interactive had broken from the template and just letting him,
Oh.
hey, give us a 2 minute, 3 minutes.
Ooh. No telling.
I just so
But no, yeah, it's actually interesting. You had made a note, but I've also always thought this. You had made a mention that there are a few tracks that could like be put in Harry Potter, and I kid you not, I have thought that for so long because it has that beautiful like fluttery like
yeah.
magic to it, you know? Um
Yeah, for me, it's always Fairy with
mhm.
those twinkling piano notes,
Mhm.
like, and oh my goodness, yes, I actually did as an experiment one time. I took that track and I like put it. I found like a section of one of the Harry Potter movies where no music was playing, and they were wondering. I think the second movie was like Harry, Ron go into the woods to find the spider. There was no music
Oh,
playing. So I took Fairy and I stuck it into that moment. I was like, wow, this works really well.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's
that's
in a video on my YouTube channel.
oh, that's
Um,
amazing. Oh, how cool is that though to think about just unplugging a track from a game and sticking it somewhere else to see what it looks like. I think
yes.
that needs to be a series on your Instagram. I'm just saying.
Oh dear. You would say that.
But
I shall think on it.
also, and I think that this is probably something that we definitely should mention with Curse of Blackmoor Manor is that we got the song, right? Where Jane
Yeah, our
and
first like real vocal.
yeah, and that whole song was like a huge centerpiece of the game. Um and you have made numerous videos
I've made an embarrassing number of ballad.
where you have duplicated the melody again on game's other instrument. And so uh yeah, like it's a huge portion of the game. I think almost everybody, like everybody, I remember that was one of the very first reels that I ever posted. I think it was the first reel where I showed my face, where it was me just dancing like funny and chaotically to
Oh, the
Bridget with
remix? Is that
her eyes
the
so
infamous
bright.
remix? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, like, people just know it. It's a, you know.
I also say, funny thing I have discovered about myself, I am incapable of singing that song without a bridge. I always do it with like Jane or Ethel,
With their
like their
cadence.
little way, the way they shape their vowels.
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
hard
I don't
not
know how
to.
to do it any other way.
That's
Because actually,
funny.
remember when we did Discord karaoke for your first late night show? We sang
Yes.
the Ballad of Brigitte together, and I
We
remember
sure.
I listened back to my video, and I was dying. I was like, "Oh my word! I just sang that with a British accent, and I didn't even realize I was doing it."
It's kind of hard not to.
Yeah. So yeah, that really is. And I love like in one sense it's a very simple melody, but again, it just
Yeah.
grabs hold of you, and it just sinks in. And I also feel like musically it's got pretty straightforward harmony, but that makes it, that's why I keep doing like piano variations, because I feel like there's so many. It just really lends itself to like, because it has a very kind of more straightforward. It's like screaming, do all the things to me. Like you can change me any way you want. And actually, I've always thought it's cool. Like when you get to the credits of that game, it literally is the Ballad of Brigitte over and over and over again, but it's played a different way every single time.
Which is again,
so
a
that's like
testament to how important it is.
I'm just keeping the tradition going. Like
There
let's
you
see
go.
how many different ways we can spin it.
I love it. I like it. I also, with this game, wanted to mention too that there is one track that I really like, and it's the one that I don't know if it's a flute or whatever it is that starts it off.
Are you thinking of Recorder?
Yeah, Recorder. Yeah.
Is that the one you're thinking?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, it's called Recorder, and I think it's meant to be a recorder.
I love that one.
Yeah, that one is great because again, that's where Kevin Manthei's showing like when he has to channel a certain style, because obviously a big part of Blackmoor Manor's story is that you have this medieval forge, and so he does like with Recorder, I think also with Amusant.
Yeah.
And Renaissance with that one with the cello.
Wait, which one? Do you know how much I hum that all the time? No, I'm so serious. I will be in the post office, in Walmart, and I'll be literally sitting there, and I will catch myself humming that exact track to myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those three in particular, he really did have to kind of capture it, because like classical music has many different periods and styles, and he does with those three tracks. Like he's getting into that medieval, like Renaissance era kind of sound.
Flashback to my music appreciation class in college.
So again, which means Her Interactive must have done a good job. They made sure to convey to him like we need medieval.
Yeah,
like, medieval is a really important part of this.
Again to Kevin Manthei, because like I just feel like, yes, they gave clear direction, but again, that he had to really like be able to pick up on that really quickly. I'm sure he probably did do some research, I would assume, but I feel like he's just as well versed in a lot of like.
We can actually when we get to Secret of the Old Clock.
Yes,
we're gonna get into it. Yes, because he actually did talk a little bit, kind of like what it was like when he had to write for a very specific like period. Dulcimer. Okay, like when else do you get to hear a dulcimer? What a cool instrument, and it's so like eerie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like piano, like between Memoirs and Fairy and Empire, that do 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 do.
Oh yes,
like
so memorable.
I feel like piano really stands out. Again, another shout out to cello. I also wanted to mention Prep, which I can't. There's nothing to hum. I feel like because it's a very ambient track, and it sounds. I think that's the one. It has sounds to it that have always reminded me. Like sounds like dripping water or something. But what I've always remembered about this soundtrack is, and I give again credit, he can capture a space and what it's supposed to feel like. I actually had to turn my computer volume kid when playing this game. Because when I'd go into the secret passages and that track would play, like it would scare me.
Yeah.
I'm just like between the music and I'm in this dark lit space and all I have is a glow stick. I can barely see. Everything's green. I was just like, this is too much. I'm terrified. And so I would just like reach over to the speaker and I just turn it off because I was like, I cannot deal with this music right now. Which is not an insult. It's a compliment.
Yeah.
If you scare me so much that I can't deal with it, you have done your job. So really and truly, so great. But we're still not done with the greatness.
No.
Because wow, this one.
This
one
is
of a kind.
It really,
in so many ways.
It really is, and I feel like a lot of people really appreciate this game's music. Like, they're not as loud about it, but I feel like when you prompt people and then you ask them about it, they're like, "Oh yeah, Secret of the Old Clock," because it has outstanding music. Has outstanding music. Tell me a little bit about what you feel when you are just like given Secret of the Old Clock. Like where do you first? Where's your mind first go to?
Honestly, I mean, I go to like I can just picture like a group of musicians like having a jam session.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I don't know, live music at the Lilac Inn. Like let's all sit down with a
Yes.
slice of pie
Yes.
while there's this band over, in the
Dun,
main.
dun, dun, dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Like yes, and I can see like I can picture them in like their vintage like suits
Their
and dresses
hats.
and
Yeah.
yeah, hats. They got the mute shoved into the trumpet and oh my word, like it really does like it just
Embodies.
screams like I how of its time.
Yes.
Like it is vintage jazz, like in
Mm-hmm.
the best way. And I know you and I are both like big fans of like that kind of music. And I know
Mm.
like you have recommended lots of ambiance videos to me that involve vintage jazz. So I just think it's so great that the Nancy Drew games have a whole soundtrack that's just that.
That's just
And
that.
like you could enjoy it just as this is good jazz. I don't even need to play the game. I can just put this on and have a great time.
Yeah. And it's so quirky, and I like love that it has this quirkiness to it that we haven't had before in a Nancy Drew game. You know,
Yeah.
like all of these sounds that are new to our ears as players because it's like funky. It's funky. It's a lot of fun sounds, like
Okay, you
fun
just
sounds.
you just saying funky though now makes me wish like we needed the Nancy Drew game that was set in the 70s so we could get the Kevin Manthei like disco soundtrack.
That would be wonderful. Can you imagine if that her interactive did like since they did a callback to the original book, what if they did to the TV show series and so we
Yeah.
had like
Yeah.
a 70s.
Okay, bring it back. Bring it back for one
Yes.
more. Give us the
Yes.
70s game, please.
But yeah, no,
Oh
I
my goodness.
just I there's for whatever reason my first instinctual song that I come to is Urgent because that's
Oh,
always
okay.
yeah, that's always the one that sticks out to me because it's just fun and fast paced. It's like dun, 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 dun. Like it's just so fun.
Yeah, and well, don't you I feel like it's actually very clever. Like this soundtrack doesn't really have any true danger,
No, I guess
which
it
I
doesn't.
think is brilliant, honestly, because I think it wouldn't have fit the vibe.
Yeah, you're right. It
Like
wouldn't have.
they needed, so I think like yeah, it's like it's intense
Mm,
and kind of puts you on edge a little bit, but without sounding like you know
like final scene
danger.
danger.
Yeah, like I'm not getting scared listening.
And there are like
And
the
I feel
ones
like
that are like
Drive. I think Drive is the same one.
yeah, I was gonna say there's some that are like I think some meant to be a bit more on the spookier side, like the ones that are like
Yes.
in the tunnels and you know maybe more drawn
Yes.
out, you know. Bum, 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 bum. I don't know how I can't remember if
Yeah.
that's how it
Okay.
goes.
Yeah. Well, since you mentioned it, Tension, which is one
Yeah,
like
tension.
yes, it definitely plays. I think some in the tunnels, like for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think when you're doing stuff with Creepy's Corner, and again, that's another one, just like that
Yes.
that exit track in Stay Tuned for Danger. That like trumpet come. And I'm just like, oh man, like it's so groovy, and I just sit there like doing this the whole time. Yes. And he's got like this bass line going and the percussion's just oh, oh my word. Oh my word. It's like I wish we had time to just sit here and like listen and let's just like live react because
Oh, I know.
like yeah, it's so great.
Well, you know, I don't actually think that we talked too much specifically about you know, we were transitioning and I was talking to in the previous game about Kevin, him, you know, incorporating such a different variety of music.
Yeah.
I don't think we gotten too much into that for this one as far as talking about
Yeah,
how
we need to back up and
Yeah.
for sure.
Let's do it.
Because yes, obviously lots of great individual tracks in here. But fun fact, when Kevin was asked like which soundtrack was the most challenging to compose, he chose this one. And he said part of it, he said that like big band, like bebop kind of jazz, like it really scares him to write. So I think like, that's not really his wheelhouse. So he really had to be stretched, sounds like, to write this one. But it's like, okay, sir, you're saying this one was hard for you, and yet it's still a banger? I was like, how about you tell me at this point, tell me if there's any genres that Kevin Manthei can't write.
Right.
Because at this point, I'm convinced that the answer is zero. There is nothing like that the man cannot imitate if he needs.
Well, and not to mention how absolutely like complex jazz is. Like to be able
Yeah.
to tap into that is
Yeah. And some people like they kind of throw jazz under the bus. Like they'll say jazz is just playing a bunch of wrong notes.
yeah.
And they're kind of like insulting it as a genre. No, actually,
No, there's a lot of theory into
a
it.
sophisticated nature to it, and having to
Yeah.
get that like more improv quality. And yeah, so it's so I get why he would have felt like this one was really hard.
Yeah.
And he actually said, like, just in general, anytime he was given a soundtrack that had to sound a specific Secret of Shadowrun, gotta sound Western. And this one's gotta sound like it's in the 1920s, 30s. He said, like, those were always the harder ones to write for because he couldn't start composing until he, like, had a good understanding of, like, how the style works and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, he just has, like, truly an incredible talent. I feel like just to absorb these different genres, to understand how they work well enough to make his own version. I just don't even talent unspeakable. Like really,
Yeah.
that's why we say he's the GOAT. Oh, like seriously. But this one is and I do remember, now speaking of kind of almost going back to Message in a Haunted Mansion, I actually do remember some people in the survey being a bit critical of this soundtrack in the sense that they kind of felt like everything sounded the same. I think maybe that's because like maybe it's just because all the jazz maybe was starting to feel to their ear like it's all jazz, it's all just running together.
I see.
I personally think that he kind of gets around that problem, and we've already been talking about this, but again, like he captures a lot of different emotion and tones with this soundtrack. Because like you have a muse, dun, 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 dun. Like it's very light and carefree, and Common is the same way. You mentioned like Urgent.
Yeah.
Like it's still jazz, but it has a totally different, like there's an intensity to it.
Yeah, makes me feel like
but then
I gotta hurry, you know?
Yeah, but then he's got ones like Gloom and Humble that are a lot lower.
Dun, dun,
So
dun.
yes, he's still writing jazz the whole way, but it's not just like it's all the same flavor of jazz.
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's light, sometimes it's a little bit sad. Oh, so I love this soundtrack.
But really though, I'm actually surprised by that because like I would have thought or feel like I've read or seen maybe more people being like, oh, Secret of the Old Clock has this like, soundtrack, So I'm surprised that was more like they were more critical of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I do remember being kind of in some of that feedback. And I just also think like they all just kind of everything in this soundtrack kind of ties together just really well.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love it. And I think one other thing, and this again would be more, and this is really gonna, I think at this point, becomes very important to how the Kevin Manthei soundtracks are getting produced. At this point, we are fully entrenched in like if he can have live musicians play it, it's going to be live. Because he also did talk about, he said the recording sessions for this one were loads of fun. Like I bet they were. He must have had all coming in the studio to play together and stuff.
Yeah.
And you do, like, there's a lot of, like, you get solo trumpet, solo clarinet, solo saxophone, violin, like, lots of different people involved. And I remember the credits don't name all the music, but it says, like, thank you to the instrumentalists who played for the session. So, man, I wish I worked for him. I could have been a fly on the wall for the session, because I bet they were loads. So, I think it's safe to say, like, that's one, like, you and I both really loved that one.
Oh yeah.
And now we are to our final one for this episode, which, can I just say, kind of as like I feel like a good capstone comment, we got to look at how far we've come. Think about Secrets Can Kill as a soundtrack. Now leap all the way to Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon.
Insanity. We started with
what
those little tiny
even?
30-second loop tracks. Now there's actually quite a few in Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon that are over 60 seconds. Like a minute and 20 seconds, a minute and 15 seconds.
And not just that, but the orchestra in this soundtrack is really essential. I think of some of the, like, it's more so at the end of the game, but, like, seriously, I'm sorry, I don't know. Is there a more epic Kevin Manthei track than Train?
Da,
Like, when you finally get
yes. So good.
Like, when you finally get Jacob Hurley's map all set up and you can find out the location of his mom.
And all those
like,
little trills.
Wow. Yes, like, the orchestra is just
it's good.
Like, seriously, I'm sorry, that really and truly could go. It's as good as anything like someone could write for him.
Well, and I'm gonna have to remember all of the things that I say in this entire episode that I keep saying I want to link in the description or put in the comments during the live. But if you have never seen,
take notes while you edit.
Thank you. If you have never seen,
yes, I'm glad you brought it up because I was about to.
Oh yeah, there's a Clue crew member. Her name is Mina, and she plays in an orchestra, and she recommended to her orchestra, like, hey, we should do this Nancy Drew game soundtrack, and we should, like, play it because I think it would be really good on as an orchestral piece. And so they did this whole, like, I mean, it was just so beautiful, like pieces from this game, and then they ended on that note on that track that we're talking about, where it's like da, 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 and it was just the most, like, give you chills everywhere.
So epic that your microphone's not quite handling.
Yeah, like, no,
it's picking and choosing.
I mean, it was literally so just beautiful. What a beautiful game music to just put for an orchestra to play. Like,
yes,
I think she actually mentioned, she said she wanted to do another game, and that would be Secret of the Old Clock. So Secret of the Old Clock and Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon just had a different vibe about them that would just fit as orchestra pieces.
Yes, and this is another one again. He had live musicians involved, which again I think that's upping your sound quality. So it's just incredible. And, like, you already hummed the melody, but, like, we get to hear that melody, like, earlier in the game every time the flute plays it. And I swear to you, like, seriously, it is honestly one of my favorite, like, Kevin Manthei melodies ever.
And yes,
like, every time that flute comes in, I'm just
like, melt.
like, thank you, it's so good.
Yes.
And I was kind of, like, complaining a smidge about, Secret of Shadow Ranch and the lack of piano. I do appreciate that, at least with Camille, the Camille track. That one starts, like, it's very piano forward. It's got, like, these twinges of sadness, and then, like, it breaks into that little dance section, like da 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 da. Like, so again, that's always wonder. I'm like, did they tell him anything about Camille? Because he nailed it. Because she was trying to learn the piano. She had a
Right?
tragic death,
Yes.
and she was a dancer. And
Yep.
like that track hits like all three of those elements. So I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And then honestly, this is another one I think like I really like this game's danger tracks. More so
Okay.
those things that you don't get to hear until the end of the game.
Is that the one that's like da
Because
na 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 da da da?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Okay. I had to think
yeah,
about it. Yeah.
like yes, like
Yeah.
it's funny how like it's there's like a quirkiness to it.
Yeah.
And almost kind of a sense of like I can feel like it makes me think of like I don't know, wheels spinning on the track really fast.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe like a a steam engine blowing or something.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
I'm a really big fan. It's called Escape. That's the one you and I were just humming. Like I just love it. It's like my
Yeah.
second favorite after the final scene.
I can see that. But also there's a lot of tracks I feel like just in this whole collection of Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon that remind you of a train. You know? I can't remember
For
which one
sure.
I can't remember which one it
Well,
is, but you know that
there's
one.
written down Steam.
Is that the one that's like very rhythmic like
Like
a train?
duh, duh. Yeah, and then
Oh,
you got
there's
this like
that one.
percussion or something. Yeah.
No, there is that one. I
Yeah.
think there's another one though that's almost like it's literally like a train starting. And so it's like
Oh,
I can't
yeah.
remember which one it
I'm
is, but
not sure
it's
without looking it up.
I know I have to look it up too, where it literally starts and it's like is it done? No, I'd have to look it up. I don't remember, but it literally starts off and it sounds like a train taking off, and then it kind of picks up and gets a little faster.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Okay. Now, so he
I'm
make me
looking
want.
it up while you continue, because now I
Well,
gotta
okay.
know.
One thing I want to like tell another listening recommendation I want to make to everyone is
Yeah.
look up Steam, not Steam the video game client. Go to the Last Train soundtrack and look up the track Steam. It really does. That one mimics a train very well. Also, so Kevin Manthei, so clever. If you listen to the second half of that track, he brings that flute melody back in, like da, 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 which sounds very pleasant when you listen to it in game.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to how it sounds in that track, because he brings it in, but he's got it like sitting against these like dissonant, very ambient like harmonies and sounds.
Ooh.
And so it's a totally different, like, again, so it's like the melody of this train. Suddenly it's not so soothing and welcoming. It sounds sinister and dangerous.
I'll have to look at that up.
Like, and this is what a good composer does. He has to tell the story in his music. He has to create the scene with what he's writing. And so he's taking those familiar elements and he's reimagining them to give you like a different.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, no, actually, I was gonna look it up that music track, but then I realized I started accidentally playing it, and then we're recording right now, so I was like, oh wait, never, turn it off, turn it off. So I'll just look it up after.
Don't do that. Yeah, I mean, really, our best recommendation to everyone is like
just go listen to all of it.
You just need to go listen to all the soundtracks, or
one.
honestly, if you want, listen to a soundtrack and then come here and listen to us talk about the game.
Oh
go listen to the next one.
Yeah, do that.
And then listen to like,
because we want to hear
please.
what you think about them. Also, too, you should just be tell us all the things and all the feelings you have about everything we talked about, every game track, everything. Yeah, that's right. We're sharing our onions, and we need to know your onions below. So.
Yeah. So I feel like that's the best advice, because it's like it being music, like you have to really fully appreciate and enjoy the conversations. Obviously, anyone who's joining in live premiere, thank you for being here in the moment. But like we all need to just sit down and just have a Kevin Manthei listening session.
I think everyone needs
Give
to
your
have
thoughts.
one of those days. It's a good therapy day when you just get to listen to some Kevin Manthei era Nancy Drew music.
Yeah, but I just love. We're only about, we're basically now, we covered the first half of his her interactive career,
Yep.
but already what he has demonstrated he's capable of doing, like, I'm running out of adjectives to describe this man's greatness. So I guess I should just stop trying. And maybe just hopefully to get people excited about next week's episode. Like, there are yet new directions to take, because what is what kind of music does globetrotting Nancy Drew need?
Oh, so
So we're
fun.
just gonna really hear a lot of fun stuff. Lots of
Very
fun things to
excited
talk
about
about
it.
next time. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we will be wrapping up the Kevin Manthei era next week, covering Danger by Design through
Alibi and Ashes.
Alibi and Ashes, which was his last game. By the way, I'll just throw this out there. There's actually there's a game. There's a game amongst all that mix that's a little bit different from the rest. I won't say what it is, and some of you who know your music facts, you already know. But we'll just say that as a little bit of a teaser. So, gonna be fun.
But yeah, no, it's been a great time diving into all of these tracks and their backgrounds with you, Tori. I've learned a lot today, and also it was just great to just like hash out some of it with you and talk about it, you know?
Yes. And yes, I feel like yes, here I'm getting the survey at long last.
Yes, in live, real
Getting
time.
onions out of him.
But it's been a really great time, and I can't wait to dive into the rest of Kevin's history next week with you all. And as always, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you again next week. Bye, you guys.
Bye everyone.